Satanism.
It's raving. The fact that he's using words like Satanism is, to me, precisely the kind of over-the-top rhetoric and ranting that you hear from someone who has no basis to justify what is a colonial and imperial land grab.
President Biden on Friday, in a message directed at the Russian leader, said the US will defend every inch of NATO territory, and he denied US or NATO involvement in this week's alleged sabotage of pipelines beneath the Baltic Sea. In Britain, the new government of Prime Minister Liz Truss spent the week reeling from a fiscal and political crisis sparked by her Chancellor's tax-cutting mini-budget a week ago. It brought a stunning rebuke from the International Monetary Fund. The fund joined other critics accusing the British government of boosting inequality and demanded a U-turn, but the UK Prime Minister is digging in. At one point, the pound hit a record low against the dollar. FSN's Ollie Barrett is in our London bureau.
What the Prime Minister and the Chancellor are trying to do here is show international markets and investors, but also Conservative MPs and the wider electorate, that they are taking some of those criticisms seriously when it comes to things like their ability to fund that tax-cutting package.
But the week ended with some Conservative Party lawmakers reportedly planning to try and block some of their government's own proposals. South Carolina became the second American state to feel the full force of Hurricane Ian. The storm made landfall there on Friday afternoon. By then, Florida was beginning a massive cleanup where the city of Fort Myers had been destroyed.
I literally watched my house disappear with everything in it. Right before my eyes.
At least 21 people were killed by the storm. President Biden warned those numbers would rise. Iran continued to be rocked by violent unrest this week, sparked by the death in custody of 22-year-old Mahsa Amini, arrested by the morality police for failing to wear her head covering correctly. The Iranian regime has struggled to put down a growing revolt and is claiming foreign agents are fueling the unrest. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN. US stocks will be looking to rebound in the current trading week as we enter the last quarter of 2022. Last week was a brutal one for the markets as recession fears dominated investor sentiment. With the preview from FSN's business desk in New York, Gabrielle Farmi reports.
Investors are hoping the markets take a turn as we enter the fourth quarter of what's been a difficult year. September is usually a bad month on Wall Street, and this one was no exception. The S&P 500, the Dow Jones, and the Nasdaq all plummeted about 9%, reaching lows not seen since late 2020. All eyes will be on the monthly jobs data released by the Bureau of Labor Statistics on Friday morning. There are two more Federal Reserve meetings in 2022 to talk about interest rates, and the Fed has hinted it could very well continue its aggressive hike through the end of the year to slow inflation.
In a groundbreaking judgment, India's Supreme Court ruled that all women are entitled to legal abortion regardless of their marital status. The court said depriving unmarried women of the right to abortion was a violation of their rights. From FSN's bureau in Mumbai, Rebecca Bundan covered that story.
India's top court on Thursday ruled that making a distinction between an unmarried and married woman when it comes to the right to have a safe and legal abortion is unconstitutional. The Supreme Court said that unmarried women would be equally entitled to terminate an unwanted pregnancy within 24 weeks. The judgment also saw the court recognise marital rape when it comes to abortion, extending the definition of rape under the Termination of Pregnancy Act to include marital rape.
Stories will report in the coming week the first round of Brazil's presidential election. The US will unveil more aid for Ukraine, and the Nobel Prizes will be handed out. Those stories here and on the news programmes of our broadcast partners worldwide. And that is the Week in Review from Feature Story News. Simon Marks reporting.
For over 8 years, Gary Lightman has been the chief executive officer and guiding force behind tech company MediaMerge Incorporated. Lightman spoke to reporters this week about working his way up from his humble beginnings as a son of the previous CEO.
If you would have told me 10 years ago that I would someday be the CEO of my dad's company, I would have said, absolutely not. I mean, it feels like just yesterday that I started off as a senior executive at this company, and now I'm in charge of the place.
Lightman told reporters that he credits his continued success in business to a number of crucial moments in his career, including getting hired by his father's retirement, and a few lucky breaks in between.
I'm not going to lie to you, it was a lot of work. I was here for nearly 8 hours every day. Someone clearly saw my efforts and took notice. You know, a lot of young people ask for my advice, and I always say the same thing. Work hard, and it will lead to bigger and better things. That's what I tell my kids.
This is the Onion News Network. Free Talk Live.
And we're back. It is the Sunday night edition of your favorite live call-in radio talk show from the perspective of freedom, peace, liberty, and prosperity. Yes, it is Free Talk Live. Captain's log stardate 10022022. I had to think about that before.
We're like double digits now.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like, wasn't summer just like last week?
It's crazy. Time flies, man.
I feel like, at least here in New Hampshire, the seasons are very pronounced.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Other places I've been, they're a little more like, you're like, oh, it's still sort of summer, but it's kind of fall. But no, here, like one day it was summer, the next day it was fall.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I guess
in a couple weeks we'll get like another warm day.
Yeah. Summer will come back and like peek into the room for, like a little bit. Yeah.
Just to remind us
like,
of
just kidding.
What it was like and piss us off. And
then 6 months of winter.
That's how
the leaves are pretty, though.
That doesn't last very long either.
It lasts like a couple months.
Like they're colorful now.
They change at different times, you know?
Yeah.
They're colorful now, but when they turn actual, like when they've been on the ground for a minute and then they turn brown, then I have that, is it the Mamas and Papas? The California Dreamin'? Like, all the leaves are brown. Like every day
and
that I
see.
see.
Skies are gray.
Yeah, that's the one. And every day that I see the brown leaves, whenever I see them, like bing, the thing pops into my head and I can't get rid of it. Yeah, definitely a earworm in that respect. But listen to you musicians who are listening, if you want to write a timeless song, include something that describes something that everybody can relate to.
Okay.
Like, all the leaves are brown. Like, everybody can relate to all the leaves are brown.
Fat chicken line at the grocery store.
Something like that. Yeah, yeah. Too much butt crack from the fat guy. Right? You know, like, stuff like that. Whatever, right?
We've got a hit on our hands.
We have several. I have to tell everybody that if you would like to join the conversation, you can pick up the telephone, if you know what that is, and you can dial 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160.
Or push those buttons in that order on your phone. Nobody dials anymore.
I think you can also call in from the internet nowadays.
Yeah, we have a SIP thing. It's over on the Free Talk Live website somewhere.
I don't know how that works, though, so don't ask me. I don't know why I brought it up.
If you're technically...
Internet space magic.
Yeah, if you're technically motivated and you know what SIP is, and you have a SIP device that you could program on your mobile device or your tablet or something, you can find that over somewhere at sip.freetalklive.com. I don't remember where it is, but
got to make it happen now.
It's there. If you're techie, you'll find it.
Yeah.
And if you can't find it, then you're not techie enough.
Just use your phone.
Yeah, just use your phone. Call like normal people do. Or I guess normal people don't really listen to Free Talk Live for the most part. So the rest of our callers and listeners do.
You've heard them.
You'll hear them again, too. And so will we. In the studio tonight, it is myself, the Lord Reverend Dr. Captain Kickass Buckshot Esquire, if you will. Joining me,
it's Nikki.
And Richie Rich.
I was lamenting, I've never seen Nikki wear a thrash metal t-shirt until this day. And she walks in wearing a sort of a black and gray, white and black and gray tie-dyed Slayer t-shirt. It's very kick-ass.
I liked it so much that I bought it directly from the Slayer website, which
That's
is typically more expensive than other methods.
But the money goes straight to the band without having to pay some sort of third party or whatever.
Buying a t-shirt at the show. They're always going to be like $20 more expensive, but you're directly supporting the band. So
now that we're on the air, name 3 songs.
Discipler, Rain and Blood, and Seasons of Abyss. They're my
In the Abyss. But
In the
okay.
Abyss. I was close.
I'm pretty sure those are the ones Captain said earlier.
No, he didn't say Disciple.
Okay.
No,
right.
I didn't. I said Rain and Blood, Skeletons of Society, and what was the third one?
Ooh.
I mean, I know like a whole bunch of them.
Oh,
You can just pick a different one.
One of my favorite ones. They did a cover album called Undisputed Attitude, where they covered a bunch of punk rock songs.
I did not know this.
Richard Hung Himself is one of my favorites off of that. So yeah, that like everybody's like, "Oh, you're a big Slayer fan. What's your favorite Slayer album?" And like, that's a loaded question because I like a bunch of their albums. Seasons in the Abyss is probably up there. You know, it probably alternates, but I really like the cover album, man. Undisputed Attitude, because just out of nowhere, Slayer's doing covers of punk songs.
I usually don't like cover albums.
And I usually don't either, but like it's Slayer, and they're super aggressive with it too. So it wasn't like they took punk songs and made them lamer. They took punk songs and made them Slayer-er.
They made them Slayer.
Yeah. So and it's really good. I really like that album. You know, some Slayer fans would be like, "Oh, dude, that's not even close to their best album." It's like, it's an opinion question, bro.
Yeah.
You know, you have a different one than I do.
No wrong answers.
So, yeah. Anyway. We're in the studio. We're doing the show. You can call 603-283-6160.
I just wanted to do the neckbeard thing where you see a chick in a band shirt.
No.
Name 3 songs, huh?
You did catch me earlier, though. You threw me off guard. And normally, you know, I'm usually the type of person that gets obsessed with a band, like Led Zeppelin or like, you know, whatever,
Did
the
you
Beatles.
have to say Led Zeppelin?
I'm sorry.
Jesus.
It's my favorite band, man.
Captain's least
But, you know,
favorite
I
band.
can name probably every single Led Zeppelin song if I rack my brain. I'm that obsessed
But you
with
can't
them.
name 3 Slayer songs.
Well, Slayer
When put on the
is-
spot. Like,
Slayer's one of those bands where, you know, I have them mixed into a conglomerate playlist of all sorts of metal music, and like that's the playlist I'll listen to.
Yeah.
But I never really like studied their
Well,
music to
right,
the point
yeah.
where I'm like playing their albums on vinyl and stuff.
One of the reasons that I don't participate in this phenomena of when you see a chick wearing a band shirt to like quiz them, right?
I hope it's because you're not a douche, because it's a douche move. It's just funny.
I mean,
me and Nikki.
Okay, yes, I'm not a douche, but also because I'm old.
Okay.
Right? And I don't expect somebody Nikki's age to have the level of knowledge of Slayer that I have.
Okay.
Right? I would be very surprised if somebody Nikki's age could name an album, much less 3 songs, right? And so Nikki, I know, is already, you know, a musically inclined person. So, you know,
that's the other irony coming from me, because I don't listen to a lot of music. I've been to like a concert my entire life.
A concert?
A concert.
Which one?
It was GBH.
What is that?
It's a punk band. So I went to like one concert. I bought the band shirt because, hey, it's my only time.
Right.
My first. I'm like in my 30s at this point. First concert. So I bought the shirt, and if someone caught me with the shirt, I couldn't even name one.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't paying attention, and I don't have any of the albums. I just bought the shirt as a souvenir.
On the, just thinking of the inverse of this phenomena, like if a dude is wearing a band t-shirt, I have never, ever, in my 50 years on planet Earth, seen a girl come up to a dude and be like, "Can you name 3 songs from that band?" Like, it's just never happened.
Yeah.
It's never occurred.
No, because it's a douchey neckbeard thing to do. And
Yeah.
chicks usually aren't like that. For the most part.
Yeah.
For the most part.
For the most part.
Yeah, okay. I apparently hang out with different chicks than you guys do.
What, the chicks you hang out with would do that?
Some of them. Or at least be douchey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not necessarily to me, but, well, to other chicks anyway.
Yeah.
Right? There's chicks.
Well, yeah,
they're
that's a
kinda-
whole separate thing.
They're kind
Yeah.
of competitive with each other from time to time.
All the time.
From time to time. If that
Sure.
time
Actually-
is the time that's now and also before, then so be it.
And in the future.
Every time I see a woman, even if, like, despite what she's wearing, I always pick a random band and I ask her to name 3 songs from that band.
I don't believe you.
No.
You just made that up. Is that what you're going to do from now on?
We should
Yeah.
film that now.
Yeah.
That'd be like a good like man on the street type
Yeah.
video. Or
Right.
Nikki on the street.
Name 3 Beatles songs.
I'm wearing this band shirt. Name 3 songs from
Yeah.
this band.
Name 3 Metallica songs, please, if you will.
Oh, you can't? Well, then don't expect me to.
603-283-6160. Why on earth would PETA want people to stop having sex because storms were caused by steak? We'll find out coming up. It's Free Talk Live. More is on the way.
Did you or someone you love work, live, or serve at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1988? If you or someone you know lived, served, or worked at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1988 and has cancer, Parkinson's disease, or another serious health issue, they are entitled to compensation. To see if they are eligible, they need to call Liberty Legal. Contaminants in the drinking water have led to these serious diseases, and legislation is now available for veterans and family members who may qualify for financial help from the government. There may be a time deadline, so don't wait. Call 888-918-1037. Anyone that has lived, worked, or served at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1988 and has had cancer, Parkinson's disease, or another serious health issue, the money is already set aside. 888-918-1037. 888-918-1037.
Inflation, a sidelined labor force, and ever-increasing interest rates. It's the perfect storm for pushing the U.S. economy over the edge. Savvy investors are diversifying into gold and silver with BullionMax.com. You can buy direct from BullionMax.com without talking to a salesperson, and your precious metals will ship fully insured directly to your home. Free Talk Live listeners can now order one of BullionMax's most popular products, the Goldback. Now in stock, but supplies are going fast. To get your Goldbacks, go to BullionMax.com/FTL.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
I'm a little obsessed with My Magic Mud. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, the founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I didn't even know my teeth were coffee stained. A week's worth of use convinced me, and now I use it every 3 or 4 days. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, and I think it cleans better, too. My Magic Mud's available at most local health food stores, Sprouts, Natural Grocers, CVS, Walmart's Natural Beauty Aisle, but I can get it for you for 20% off with coupon code FTL20 at mymagicmud.com. FTL20, mymagicmud.com.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
I feel like a conductor in a symphony. He's doing the thing, and then he's like, And he just raises his arm up, and everybody's just like waiting to exhale. Everybody's holding their breath. And you just never let your arms down for the longest time.
So, okay, I don't understand. Not a musician again, right? Like no musical talent at all.
Okay.
How important is the conductor, really?
I have no clue.
I mean,
couldn't tell you.
If like
all the rehearsals, all the practices, right? Like the timing, you hear it.
You would think so. I mean,
it's
what does that guy do?
It's the equivalent of having a coach in like football, NFL, right?
Yeah.
So like, could the team go out there, call their own plays, and play the game? Yes, absolutely, they could. Particularly if the quarterback has like a coach's mind. You know what I mean? That kind of a thing. So all of the musicians in like an orchestra, for example, could totally go out there.
Okay.
And one guy would have to be like 1, 2, 3, and then everybody could kick in as long as they can read music.
Drummer, perhaps
perhaps the drummer. For
I'm
example,
just thinking of like a metal band or like a rock and roll band with a conductor in the front of it, like.
For the sports analogy though, that would be the coach, like in your ear.
Right.
For the entire game. Not just calling the play, right, but telling you like, all right, move left, throw to Antonio or whatever, the whole game. Right?
Yep.
So I was in the school band, and I remember the music teacher.
What did you play?
Or the clarinet. And he would stand up there with a pencil and kind of like do a little wag thing with it. Not like a full conductor arm swing, but just a little one.
He was just a ductor.
He was just exactly. He was just a ductor, but I had no clue. Like
Pro-ductor.
Him doing that didn't tell me anything. I was like, he's just jamming up there. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
He's just dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's like when you play in a band and like people are sort of swaying to the music, or if they're headbanging or whatever, that kind of a thing. Like
those are the conductors.
They're kind of keeping the tempo for you. So like.
Well, some of them.
Well,
maybe.
Okay.
So if you know a conductor, or if you are a conductor.
What?
Give us a call.
Oh.
Tell us.
At what number?
603 something or other.
You don't know the number?
283-6160.
Nikki knows the number.
I had to redeem myself because of earlier.
I've done it off the top of my head before.
Have you ever deemed yourself?
No.
A little bit when I tripped on the tub coming out one day.
Oh, gosh.
Hit the post on the other side and went ding.
On the way over here, I saw somebody with a bumper sticker that said, resist.
Cool.
And I thought to myself, you know what I've never done? I've never zisted. Have you ever zisted?
I've zested.
I've used Zest, the bar soap, once upon a time, because I was out of Irish Spring.
What?
Used a lever.
Little dial. Did you know a dial backwards is laid?
Oh, I suppose it is.
Thought I'd throw that in there. Tums backwards.
Well, that's why
smut.
you use it, right?
Hopefully.
Again, I use Irish Spring, so clean as a whistle. Not a whistle, but a whistle. It's like Will Wheaton.
I'm also an Irish Spring guy for the most part.
They used to make just a deodorant that was the scent of Irish Spring, and I loved that. It was great. It was my favorite. They stopped making it. Now they only make the antiperspirant.
Oh,
that is the scent of
Heaven
Irish
forbid.
Spring. And I can't wear antiperspirant. It does weird things to my skin, and
it clogs the pores and stuff. It's not good.
Yeah, and so anyway,
stops you from perspiring.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, but I don't really want to be stopped from perspiring. I just don't want to stink.
Just want sweet smelling sweat.
So I want my sweat to smell like I just took a shower.
Okay.
That's all I'm looking for. Because most deodorants are way too perfumey for me.
Yeah.
Right? But you get one that smells like soap. You're like, oh, it smells like I just got out of the shower. This is great.
Oddly enough, I was having this conversation recently about old deodorants that I used to wear.
Yeah.
And I used to be like the brute active blue guy.
Oh.
That was a good one.
I had the, as a kid.
With the click applicator.
Oh.
Yeah. I never had that one. I used to have the green one. It was in the cylinder
I've had that
container.
as well. Yep.
And you pop the top off and you have to turn the whole bottom of it to get it to, make itself available for you to do the pit crayon. That's what I call deodorant, by the way.
The pit crayon. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if that's common, but
I've never heard that, but it's very accurate. Yeah.
You're like, oh, it is pit crayon. Wow, weird. You use this crayon on your pits? Huh.
Ironically now, even though it's, I don't even know if you can still find it, but I'm an Axe guy because Axe has a scent called Anarchy.
Really? I didn't know this. Cool. Does it smell good?
Yeah, I mean, I wear it. So.
Well, one thing's for sure, it doesn't smell like bureaucrats.
Right. So I went,
thank God.
How can I be the anarchist and not smell like anarchy? And so I just...
What is the scent of anarchy?
I don't know.
Like,
ask Axe.
Remind me and I'll bring the can and just light up the room a little bit.
We'll have to ask them what anarchy sounds like. Yes, timpani. We should talk about something.
This banter is getting ridiculous.
I mean, we could probably ridiculous banter for the entire show if
probably
we so
could.
chose.
This is not Beard Talk Live. We must do actual news.
No.
Although
actual news. That's
well, let's not go.
Let's not get crazy here.
Yeah, actual news. I don't know if y'all had a chance to listen or take a look at the website. So Beard Talk Live, the uncensored after show. Well, it's on the freetalklive.com, so when you see the list of all the episodes of Free Talk Live, Beard Talk Live also appears in there because it's obviously an offshoot of Free Talk Live. It's just uncensored, internet only. But we got a logo made.
I know, I saw that.
And so
that was wonderful. Yeah, the logo was great.
Yeah, I thought it added an air of professionality that, well, we don't.
I'm still waiting for my prosthetic.
Captain brings that up on Beard Talk Live, right? Like, we've done nothing on the guest beard. I'm like, no, because I have provided a link to procure the guest beard.
Yeah, well,
and the only
we're
thing
waiting
that
for
hasn't
the
been
funds.
done is the perks.
So we're starting a GoFundMe for the $40 or however.
Which none of us have actually started, by the way.
Okay.
In fact, I spent more than that on the logo. Because I thought that the logo was
more
probably
important than
more
the guest
important
beard.
than the guest beard.
More important than getting Nikki a prosthetic so she can be on the show.
Come on.
You know,
the logo. The logo.
Yeah, the logo.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, the logo does have a beard.
I really think the logo is well done.
I thought it was too. Yeah. And it took I don't know. I think there was a total of 15 previous attempts.
Iterations.
Right. Yeah, iterations. Right. And the first 4 that the guy sent me, and I'm like, I kind of gave him very little direction, hey, it's a talk show, it's an offshoot of this, and, kind of a thing. And so he just sort of, went about doing whatever he did with little direction. And so, one of them had this very sort of 80s Miami Vice vibe to it, where it was all very thin, and it was pink and blue. And
I kind of want to see all these.
No, you don't. Trust
me.
No. Yeah, trust me.
What's up with the pink, the neon pink and blue?
It was horrible. It was horrible. And so I was like, look, man, beards are manly, and Beard Talk Live should give an air of strength, or think, and the block letter, the letters should be block and not thin and wavy, right? Think strength, think concrete, think rock, think something like that.
Think Beard Talk Live.
But we got it done. So this is Free Talk Live. More coming up.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp, is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
You can help more people hear the message of liberty by joining Free Talk Live's AMPS program on Patreon for as little as $5 a month. And you'll get access to special perks. Visit amps.freetalklive.com, amps.freetalklive.com.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Kate Fisher. The Indonesian government is promising a full investigation after at least 129 people died in a stampede at a football match. The game between two sides with a bitter rivalry ended in disaster as fans began rioting and police responded with tear gas. Our Asia correspondent Richard Kimber reports.
Indonesia's President Joko Widodo is calling for a full inquiry into what happened and is ordering that all games in the country's top league be postponed. Trouble began after the final whistle in a game between long-standing rivals Arema FC and Persebaya Surabaya. As their players began leaving the field, fans started rioting and then invading the pitch, clashing with scores of police. Videos on social media show police wielding riot shields and batons, responding with force and firing numerous rounds of tear gas. Chaotic stampedes and crashes then ensued as more than 40,000 fans in attendance tried to escape through the stadium exits. Government officials say the stadium was overcrowded, with 4,000 more people in attendance than the official capacity, and that advice to hold the match in the afternoon rather than the evening had been ignored.
Ukraine has made its most significant battlefield gain in weeks, claiming full control of the strategic city of Liman, a key logistics hub in the east of the country. Sergio Olmos reports from the Ukrainian capital, Kyiv.
Liman sits at a railway juncture that Russia was using to supply its troops along that eastern front. But politically, the reason it's very important is because it's one of the regions that Vladimir Putin said was now part of Russia, quote, forever. And within 24 hours, Ukrainian troops are throwing down the Russian flags from administrative buildings, putting up the Ukrainian flags, winning back a city that they had lost.
Hurricane Ian continues to weaken, but its trail of destruction is expected to take months to clear up. US President Joe Biden is due to visit Florida on Wednesday, the state that was hit the hardest, from where FSN's Chris Jones reports.
It's been absolutely devastating for millions of residents along the southwest Floridian coast. And I was in Fort Myers, listed as the real ground zero of Hurricane Ian, and they reported 5 to 6 foot waves coming over the shore and into their houses.
When I came around the corner, I didn't realize how bad. I mean, we have a sailboat in our front yard.
I was expecting this hurricane to land 120 miles north of here. And I had no idea it was going to take a sharp right turn and come into Fort Myers. So I had no option to get out of town.
As the waters have calmed and subsided, the damage is all too clear to see. Some can't really see a way forward. They don't know how long it's going to take to clear up the mess. They also don't know how much it's going to cost.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
And we're back.
Ooh, a dramatic pause.
It was the flare with the conductor fingers.
I saw you moving the fingers there, like kind of like the tassels on Dancer Girls.
Okay.
Except I think you went counterclockwise instead of clockwise, or clockwise instead of counterclockwise. I don't remember.
It depends which hand you were looking at, because I went in and then out.
Fair deuce. Fair deuce. In case you're wondering what you're listening to, the name of the show is
Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live.
Very good. Yes, it is. Well done. You guys get 1 merit point each.
Sweet.
I know the phone number and the name of the show.
Yeah. She's really making up for those non-Slayer songs.
Nikki's up.
You're going to have to step up your game there, Richie Rich.
I know.
The telephone number, if you would like to critique Richie Rich or Nikki tonight, is 603-283-6160.
The show where the stories are made up and the points don't matter.
Yeah, we didn't steal that from anybody, of course. It's just a thing that is uniquely ours and always has been. But something that is not uniquely ours, nor has always been, is Bitcoin.com. Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. You can go there right now, click on Get Started at the top of the page, and once you do that, you'll find all sorts of valuable information neatly organized to suit your needs. There's no longer any excuse to ignore this important and world-changing information. If you're already knowledgeable about cryptocurrency, you can check out news.bitcoin.com and get the latest headlines of all the news that's relevant to you. Bitcoin.com is your source for everything crypto, like getting a wallet, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news on a very slick and easy-to-use website. Please visit bitcoin.com. Again, bitcoin.com. All right. I do want to talk about this bizarre story.
Just the headline alone.
From PETA. But before we do that, I want to talk about this other thing because we just mentioned Bitcoin.com. And one of my favorite writers over there is a guy named Jamie Redman, who, actually, let me check now. Yeah, he did put this story together. We talk sometimes about the economy, right? Because we want people to prosper. We want people to, have a good life. Live the kind of life that they want, have the sort of the things or the people, be wealthy in ways that aren't always surrounded by money, but money
abundance,
abundance, yeah.
Well, and to counteract the effects of government intervention,
most importantly,
especially that.
So we keep track of things regarding economies, and I just saw this today. It was apparently posted 2 days ago, but Germany's inflation hits double digits for the first time since World War II. Their parliament reveals a $195 billion subsidies package to make prices drop.
So, oh my God! So I was talking about this yesterday.
Okay,
and it's a weird situation that we find ourselves in as people from the libertarian tradition, Austrian economics, because we define inflation in a very specific way.
Right.
An increase in the money supply.
Right.
Boom.
And when
basic. Easy.
And when we're pitching that to people, that's what we say. And then we get news of the world
saying the opposite, basically.
Not just saying the opposite, but that inflation is a worldwide thing right now. Right, it's going up in the United States. It's going up in Germany. It's going up in the United Kingdom.
It's true. It is.
Understood.
From the perspective you mentioned, where all these governments have printed more money.
But that's the part that's hard to get the message across, right?
It's
because
misleading the way they deliver their version of the message.
Right. Because if it's printing money and it's the U.S. printing the money, right, then why is inflation going up everywhere?
Because they're all printing money.
Because they're all printing the money. Right. But that part gets left out of every conversation. Yeah. And so I'm throwing it back in here to say the reason Germany and the United Kingdom and every place else, it's not because it's a worldwide phenomenon.
Right.
It's because they're implementing similar dumb policies like stimulating the economy.
Every one of these governments has a central bank.
Right.
Just like the United States has the Federal Reserve, which is neither federal nor has any reserves. Every other one of these governments has their own central bank, and it's monkey see, monkey do right now for these governments. If we learned nothing from the events of COVID, we learned that what one government will do, another government will do, and try to do it even worse.
Well, now we have the World Economic Forum.
Economic.
It's enormic.
Yeah, enormic. But we're kind of seeing almost this creation of a one world government, which is terrifying, but that's what the powers want to see.
Yeah.
I
will rule the world.
Here's the other thing. The other side of that, though, for me, is I don't understand why certain other countries who might be at odds with the United States or with the West, or even looking to bring their economy up on the world stage, would do the opposite and strengthen their local currency against the dollar by not inflating it and start rising up the ladder as like the next currency to hold.
Well,
they don't seem to do that either.
Because
they just also inflate.
When it comes to governments, they are very much like the WWE, the World Wrestling Entertainment Organization.
Yeah.
And that is to say, when you watch the wrestling entertainment show, they distinctly show that, here's the good guys and here's the bad guys, and occasionally one guy will switch from being a good guy to a bad guy or a bad guy to a good guy, and like that kind of a thing. But you always know, it's very distinct who the good guys are and who the bad guys are, and then occasionally somebody will jump ship. But when the show is over and it's between shows and they're all hanging out backstage, they're all friends with each other.
For the most part.
They're all there to put on the show. And that's what these governments are doing. They're all working together. We saw them work in concert, no pun intended, in concert during COVID to bring about what almost was global martial law, right? Because the only thing missing from the lockdowns during COVID were the tanks in the streets and the military occupation in the cities. That's the only thing missing from the COVID lockdowns. Otherwise,
well, we saw that other places, though.
We did. And what I'm saying
know?
is, like, imagine if they had just taken it a step further than they took it. We would have seen global martial law.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying, and I can't. Whereas I understand the analogy with professional wrestling, as a big fan of professional wrestling myself, I just can't imagine that there are no true enemies or no ambitious leaders willing to buck the trend for their own benefit, right? Like there's 180 some odd countries. There has to be one going.
There was. His name was Gaddafi, and he tried to move his country into the gold standard, and look at what they did to him.
Okay, so they're inflating their own currency. They're hurting their own local currency, their own local people, out of fear of retribution from the United States.
Well, I think there's a bigger plan, and we just don't know it.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's
I
lot.
don't know it, but like it sure feels like there's something afoot.
They can't be that dumb. They're not that dumb.
Yeah.
I refuse to believe that those people that have rose to that level of power are that dumb and they don't know what all this stimulus is going to do.
Yeah.
They know, and there's a purpose. And all I'm saying is there has to be a balance to that scale of someone going like, yes, we know, and this is my chance to like rise up through those international rankings.
Yeah, I mean,
much like Gaddafi tried.
I would say, was it Venezuela that adopted the Bitcoin?
Sure, yeah.
Right. That to me is like the only semblance of what you're suggesting that I can tell, right? Because they're not doing it with their own currency, because they know if they did it with their own currency, they would face some sort of repercussion or boycotts or sanctions from these other countries for sort of bucking the trend, right? But adopting something like a cryptocurrency, to me that seems like, for lack of a better term, the rebellious thing to do, or the way to put your country in a better position for the long term.
And then we could compare the levels of inflation, right, of everyone else and the country doing what we will consider to be like the right thing.
603-283-6160. How has inflation affected you or your loved ones? Give us a call. Let us know. This is Free Talk Live, the Sunday night edition. More coming up.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
There are basically two types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
If you've never been to a pawn shop, it's probably not what you're expecting. I'm Holland Cook with Inflation Hacks. Think yard sale, where you can be the buyer or the seller. The cash you need today may be something that's gathering dust right now in your garage or attic. Why wait till next Christmas to re-gift stuff that Santa brought last Christmas. Need power tools? Who cares if that second-hand electric drill is scratched up? It looks like you've been working. When you see someone with a Rolex watch, a real one, can you tell whether they bought it new? Are you ready to pop the question? That diamond took millions of years to create. Who cares if someone else owned it for 3 years? Get the stone remounted. She'll never know. How are you coping? Post your inflation hacks at andyoucanquoteme.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. chat.lrn.fm.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
And we're back. Last Sunday when Mark Edge was here, he did. Mark is a professional, right? He's been doing radio for a long time, and so he has a professional radio voice just as his daily voice, right? So when you hear him on the radio, it's really kind of no different than hearing him in person. But he did the most, I'm going to call it deadpan, and we're back, that we've ever had here on Free Talk Live. It was pretty amazing. He was just like,
ladies and gentlemen, let me just tell you,
we're back.
And we're back.
Yeah. It was.
It's like, oh my gosh, he's not even trying. That's just what he sounds like.
Like the three of us, we're all like trying to be enthusiastic and like, bring some energy. And Mark's just like, and we're back.
It's like, oh, wow.
And you're like,
I guess I'll just leave.
Yeah, we are back. Like he just, so matter of factly. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you remember one thing that I'm saying tonight on this radio program, it is, and we're back.
Nothing but love, Mark. The telephone number here, 603-283-6160. If you've called before, you could call and also say, and you're back. Huh? So it's totally possible for you to do so. Speaking of people who've called before, let's go to Robert in South Carolina. Robert, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yes, I just wanted to say that the question of inflation in Germany is not as simple as it sounds. The fact of the matter is that
it's not an increase in the money supply?
Yes, of course, because
then it's as simple as it sounds.
So what's not so simple about that?
Well, remember originally when the European community got started, it was called the European Economic Community, and then they changed the name to the European Community.
Wait, the European Economic Community, is that pronounced yuck?
That's pronounced Eck more than I think.
E-U-C, yuck. It's like EU, E-W-E. Anyway, go ahead, Robert.
Well, okay, so anyhow, what happened was that they came together as an economic group, not in anything else really, not in terms of the government, not in terms of the military, just really in terms of the economy, in order to wall in Europe so that they could operate as an economic unit, you see, and that would be to their advantage, which it was. The problem was that Germany was no longer in control over the money because it shared control with all of the other members of the European community. And of course, the people who really got control over things in Germany were the people who wanted it in the first place, the only people who wanted it, and those were the biggest businesses in Germany because they were involved.
Yeah, we're talking about the invention of the euro, right, back in the day. And if I remember correctly, wasn't Germany the one sort of propping up everybody else?
Yes, And it still is.
Yeah.
And that's why Germany suffers so much, because we're giving our money out to everybody under the sun in Europe. It's oozing out of our system, and we can't even control it anymore.
Yeah, I can't really argue with that. Thanks for the call, Robert. It certainly is.
Oh, I was just saying, he said we, when as speaking from the German's perspective.
Yeah, he fancies himself a suffering German.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that he lives in South Carolina and has for some time. We've asked him about going to Germany. He's like, I've been there, but he doesn't live there. He's not planning to move there. And
from Berlin, South Carolina.
Yeah. But, all this goes to show Germany dumb for joining the EU, right?
Yeah.
Because if they'd have just stayed independent, they and all of their citizens would have been more wealthy than they are now.
That's how I feel about New Hampshire.
Yes. Yeah, except the opposite. New Hampshire needs to exit the Union so that it can be more prosperous. Because right now it's being held down by the
welfare
empire.
state of the United States.
Yeah. How, as you have said in the last segment, though, Captain, they operate hand in hand. So if even if Germany was independent, if everyone else is inflating the money supply, they go you got to go along with it, Germany. Well, they are compelled in some form or fashion to do so.
Yeah.
Whereas doing the opposite would definitely strengthen, the Germany culture and people and whatever.
But even if that were the case, not joining the EU, right, or the euro, not adopting that would have left them in better position, even if they did inflate their money.
Okay. Are we seeing that in Britain then? Because they exited the EU, right? And
they've always had their own currency though, right?
The pound.
Yeah, the pound. They use pounds.
Okay.
So.
Yeah,
but they're also inflating that.
They are.
Yeah, exactly.
It's out of hand. They're seeing the same, consumers across the board. I don't care what country you're in, are seeing record prices.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you? Now, a lot of these lefties would be like, "Oh, it's the companies that are raising the prices."
They are.
Yes, they are.
Because they have to.
They have to. You can't flood the market with more money out of nowhere and expect prices to go down, which is what this article from Bitcoin.com suggests. It suggests that Germany's inflation hits double digits for the first time since WW2. Parliament reveals $195 billion in subsidies packages to make prices drop.
So it's going to get worse.
Prices aren't going to
It's like a bad joke.
They're doing it in California here. Right, oh my God, inflation is hitting our people. We need to send out stimulus checks.
Yeah.
And
it would be, if they were sending out stimulus checks from some, stash of stolen money they had, whatever, that wouldn't cause inflation. But when they are literally printing more money, creating money out of thin air to give to people, it just makes it worse. You might have just not give people anything, because they still can't afford their rent. They still can't afford groceries. So what's the point?
And we can see this evidence just by taking a look at ads from 30 years ago, 40 years ago, right? Used to be you could buy a brand new car, like a muscle car, for $3,000. You can't even buy a used car for $3,000 at this point.
Yeah. You can't.
That was an article that I shared. I don't know if anyone talked about it on air. They came out with a new stimulus for electric vehicles, or $1,000 credit for electric vehicles.
Ooh.
And then Ford went, okay, so now electric vehicles cost $1,000 more.
Yeah, we did. We covered that a little bit. We didn't go in depth, but and that's what happens, right? The same thing happened with what was the Obama thing he did with the used cars? The
cash for clunkers.
Cash for clunkers, right? Yeah,
that was insidious too.
Yeah. Yeah, and it backfired, right? It caused a depletion of the used car inventory.
I don't think that backfired. I think that was insidious.
Yeah.
Call me a conspiracy theorist. They got rid of all the clunkers,
right,
without computers in them.
Without the computers in them,
right.
And then now the only used cars you can get are ones that can be controlled remotely by a nefarious actor.
I mean, you can still get cars that don't have that, but
because they're more
difficult,
more and more rare.
But they're more and more rare, and therefore those prices gone up.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard for me because I prefer cars with manual transmissions, and it was hard for me to even find a manual.
Yeah, that's
my car's only like a 08, 09.
It's actually impressive that you can drive manual. because very few people are taught that anymore.
Yeah.
It would be like asking a 10-year-old to, write an essay in cursive. Like, it just doesn't happen.
Well, they
really
also don't teach kids cursive anymore.
That's what I'm saying.
So,
the ability to drive a manual transmission is going the way of the cursive writing.
Yeah.
Which is not at all, right?
So I have a device at home that's, about the size of
your magic rectangle.
It sort of, but it's not the phone. It's
the second magic
It's about
rectangle.
the size of a phone, but it's a handheld like keyboard and mouse.
Ooh.
Right. You can use it like remotely or whatever. And I'm waiting for the day where that gets taught in schools as opposed to the keyboard sitting in front of you, because everyone spends so much time on their phones thumb typing anyway.
Yeah.
You might as well have a keyboard that you thumb type on for your computer at the same time. That's what people are going to get used to.
I'm apparently non-traditional in many things, right? I talked at length on Beard Talk Live about how I'm a non-traditional guitar player. I took like 6 lessons. I really didn't learn anything. I can't read music. I can read tablature, right? I can decipher songs, but like mostly I just moved my fingers on the frets and the strings until it made sound that I thought was pleasant, and then from there I
Look at
just
this
sort
guy.
of figured it out, right?
He's playing a right-handed guitar left-handed. He's going nowhere.
I didn't quite go that far, but like also with typing, I'm a non-traditional typist when it comes to regular typing. When it comes to doing stuff on the magic rectangle on your cell phone, I'm not a thumb typer at all. I'm like I got the one finger.
Oh, okay.
Right, I just hold the phone in my hand, right, with the index finger. And somebody recently was like, "How come only men do that?" And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I've seen girls do this too. But I don't know.
Yeah.
They might be the swipers. You just trace where you're going and hope it guesses right.
I hate that. I can't do that.
603-283-6160. Yes, inflation, double digits in Germany. But coming up, we're going to ask, why is PETA calling for a female sex strike? We'll find out. This is Free Talk Live.
Did you or someone you love work, live, or serve at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1988? If you or someone you know lived, served, or worked at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1988 and has cancer, Parkinson's disease, or another serious health issue, they are entitled to compensation. To see if they are eligible, they need to call Liberty Legal. Contaminants in the drinking water have led to these serious diseases, and legislation is now available for veterans and family members who may qualify for financial help from the government. There may be a time deadline, so don't wait. Call 888-918-1037. Anyone that has lived, worked, or served at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1988 and has had cancer, Parkinson's disease, or another serious health issue, the money is already set aside. 888-918-1037. 888-918-1037.
Have you had enough of the big-name web hosting services that are long on promises but short on bleeding-edge features, uptime, and customer service? Try Agorist Hosting, the agile web host that offers full concierge service from website redesign, full e-commerce solutions, custom apps for your Shopify store, IPFS integration, and more. Agorist Hosting is ready to take your web presence into the future. To get started, head over to agoristhosting.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Simon Marks with the Week in Review. And the week ended with US government officials saying that while Vladimir Putin has the potential to use nuclear weapons in the Ukraine conflict, they see no evidence that the use of those weapons is imminent. Those comments came at the end of a dizzying Friday that saw the Russian leader annex 4 regions of Ukraine, the US impose fresh sanctions on Russia, and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky apply for immediate membership of NATO. US National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan spoke about Vladimir Putin's furious Kremlin speech in which he denounced the United States and accused it of Satanism.
It's raving. The fact that he's using words like Satanism is to me precisely the kind of over-the-top rhetoric and ranting that you hear from someone who has no basis to justify what is a colonial and imperial land grab.
President Biden on Friday, in a message directed at the Russian leader, said the US will defend every inch of NATO territory, and he denied US or NATO involvement in this week's alleged sabotage of pipelines beneath the Baltic Sea. In Britain, the new government of Prime Minister Liz Truss spent the week reeling from a fiscal and political crisis sparked by her Chancellor's tax-cutting mini-budget a week ago. It brought a stunning rebuke from the International Monetary Fund. The fund joined other critics accusing the British government of boosting inequality and demanded a U-turn, but the UK Prime Minister is digging in. At one point, the pound hit a record low against the dollar. FSN's Ollie Barrett is in our London bureau.
What the Prime Minister and the Chancellor are trying to do here is show international markets and investors, but also Conservative MPs and the wider electorate, that they are taking some of those criticisms seriously when it comes to things like their ability to fund that tax-cutting package.
But the week ended with some Conservative Party lawmakers reportedly planning to try and block some of their government's own proposals. South Carolina became the second American state to feel the full force of Hurricane Ian. The storm made landfall there on Friday afternoon. By then, Florida was beginning a massive cleanup where the city of Fort Myers had been destroyed.
I literally watched my house disappear with everything in it. Right before my eyes.
At least 21 people were killed by the storm. President Biden warned those numbers would rise. Iran continued to be rocked by violent unrest this week, sparked by the death in custody of 22-year-old Mahsa Amini, arrested by the morality police for failing to wear her head covering correctly. The Iranian regime has struggled to put down a growing revolt and is claiming foreign agents are fueling the unrest. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN. US stocks will be looking to rebound in the current trading week as we enter the last quarter of 2022. Last week was a brutal one for the markets as recession fears dominated investor sentiment. With the preview from FSN's business desk in New York, Gabrielle Farmi reports.
Investors are hoping the markets take a turn as we enter the fourth quarter of what's been a difficult year. September is usually a bad month on Wall Street, and this one was no exception. The S&P 500, the Dow Jones, and the Nasdaq all plummeted about 9%, reaching lows not seen since late 2020. All eyes will be on the monthly jobs data released by the Bureau of Labor Statistics on Friday morning. There are 2 more Federal Reserve meetings in 2022 to talk about interest rates, and the Fed has hinted it could very well continue its aggressive hike through the end of the year to slow inflation.
In a groundbreaking judgment, India's Supreme Court ruled that all women are entitled to legal abortion regardless of their marital status. The court said depriving unmarried women of the right to abortion was a violation of their rights. From FSN's bureau in Mumbai, Rebecca Bundan covered that story.
India's top court on Thursday ruled that making a distinction between an unmarried and married woman when it comes to the right to have a safe and legal abortion is unconstitutional. The Supreme Court said that unmarried women would be equally entitled to terminate an unwanted pregnancy within 24 weeks. The judgment also saw the court recognise marital rape when it comes to abortion, extending the definition of rape under the Termination of Pregnancy Act to include marital rape.
Stories will report in the coming week the first round of Brazil's presidential election. The US will unveil more aid for Ukraine, and the Nobel Prizes will be handed out. Those stories here and on the news programmes of our broadcast partners worldwide. And that is the Week in Review from Feature Story News. Simon Marks reporting.
Congress today passed a landmark Social Security reform bill they estimate could save the troubled program billions. The so-called Grab Life by the Balls bill includes provisions to cut the cost of cigarettes in half, outlaws helmets, and adjusts the CDC's recommended amount of sleep from 8 hours a night to when you're dead. The bill's short-term initiatives aim to immediately cut Social Security costs in half by replacing senior citizens' monthly checks with vouchers for grain, alcohol, and extreme sports.
I got this coupon to motocross over a canyon. Better do my part to help the deficit.
Supporters in Congress say the cost will be offset by the so-called pussy tax on products such as sweaters, vegetables, hand soap, and flu shots.
America, would you rather die old, broke, and forgotten, or die a motherfucking legend?
The new program follows in the footsteps of the Life is a Cartoon Medicare campaign, which encourages seniors to run full speed off of cliffs and smoke sticks of dynamite.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
And we're back.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live.
The show where we play doctor during the break.
I'm a doctor.
I, however, am not. Although one of my
You are.
titles is.
Yeah.
I'm an honorary doctor. And a reverend. And a captain. So.
I'm really falling behind on the fake points tonight.
Yeah, you sure are.
Jesus.
Yeah, I think Nikki's probably got 2-3 points on you.
She's
already.
got 3 now with the whole doctor thing. You get a point for the doctor. I don't get any points for being doctor.
No.
Jesus.
No. And also, you repeat the word twice in your name.
What's wrong with that?
Well, I mean, it's just like you could be more creative.
It could be. The only reason the second one is there because online forums request the last name. Just put the first one again twice.
I know. The telephone number here, 603-283-6160. If you would like to join us. We are going to talk about this PETA thing, but I'm just not sure if now is the time. Is the time now? Is now the time? Is it the most time that the now time could be?
I mean, we have a caller on the phone.
Or is it that now is the time? The time is now the most time that the now time could be.
If you want to hear us talk about PETA, stop calling. Then we can get to the show prep, people.
That's not necessarily true.
I mean, I feel like calls are priority, though.
Yeah, we shouldn't ever tell people not to call. I feel like on this show.
Or they could call and talk about PETA.
It's true.
Hopefully, I said it in a manner that sounded as if I was joking.
If we get one person to call,
I'm offended.
Oh,
I offended. I'm the captain. If we get one person to call about PETA and then another person right behind them calls also about PETA, are they a repeater?
Technically, maybe.
That being said, let's go to Major Payne calling from Michigan. Major, you're on Free Talk Live. Major.
Hang on, I took you off speaker. I know I sound better.
All right, thanks, man.
Let's see. Repeater.
He just got the joke.
Well, better late than never, I guess.
No, I chuckled when I heard it the first time. I just,
It's a courtesy chuckle the second time on air.
Close enough. Yeah, close enough. We'll give you the little Cupid doll.
All right.
1 minute for me.
Tied at 3. Falling behind.
Yeah, this you mentioned just the headline that it basically hold out the pussy to save the cows and the planet. And I told you when I called, and this sounds like something Joy Behar and old Whoopi Goldberg and them old birds from The View some might have come up with. You know, women are so attractive they got to pay for an escort and such.
It does sound like that, and there's certainly a slant to this that we'll get into once we start talking about the article.
I guess we can get into it because you brought it up.
All right, so just sit there for a minute, Major. So the headline, of course, reads, PETA calls for a female sex strike to save the planet from storms caused by steak and sausages. That's a loaded headline.
Fake news.
Yeah.
But is it, though?
I'm sure the calling for a strike thing is real, but I don't think steaks are causing global warming.
Cow methane.
This is written. This comes from joannanova.com.au. So an Australian lady By the way, if you want to sound like an Australian for the first time ever, if you've never sounded like one before, if you want to say space race in Australian, all you need to do is say spice rice.
Spiced rice.
No D.
Spice rice.
Spice rice.
It's
he's
a
got
spice
it.
rice, you know, mate.
It's a spice rice. It's
Yeah,
not a
if you
space
roll
race.
it
It's a
rock,
spice
yes.
rice.
Got it.
Yes, Major, you've got it as well. Hopefully, it doesn't go spreading around, and when government calls for a vaccine against it, whatever it might be.
Spice rice.
Spice rice. Have you gotten the spice rice vaccine?
No.
Oh, look at that special delivery.
Ah.
Yeah. We might have to take away one merit because. Oh, that is the greatest mug I think I've ever seen.
You can't take away a merit. You got to give her another point.
Yeah.
Come on,
Jesus.
man.
I took,
So-
well, I was going to take one away because she only ordered enough for herself and didn't bring us
sorry,
any.
guys.
But then I see the mug, and for those of you who can't see because this is a radio show,
or because you're blind,
it's a okay, or somebody maced you recently. There's many reasons why you might not be able to see. This mug, instead of having a regular coffee handle, has the handle of what is this? A 9mm?
Yeah, it looks like
It's
it.
called
Some
a
sort
gun.
of pistol.
Pistol grip.
Yeah, but not like a revolver. It's more like a
How do you hold that thing? Do you keep it like finger in register and put the pinky up?
Yeah.
No, finger on the trigger. Are you ready to drink?
Finger on the trigger. Yeah.
I'm trying to show it in the camera.
I know.
Is that? Do you put bulletproof coffee in there? In that mug?
Of course not.
Oh, okay. Just checking. This article comes to us from Joe Nova from joannenova.com.au. Quick, save the world now. Create nice weather and peace on Earth with coercive bargaining, threats, and deprivation.
All right.
The PETA feminazi recipe to stop floods and hot weekends is to demand men give up meat or live without sex. There's no more persuasion for civilization. According to PETA, it's their way or the highway, and most men must be too stupid to realize the PETA powers of climate prophecy are unquestionable.
What?
I feel like the kind of female who would be holding out sex for this purpose is the kind of female that doesn't need to hold out the sex for this kind of purpose.
Yeah. I think they're confused about their current market value.
That's the best phrasing I've heard.
After all, there's no chance that animal activists could be fooled by emotional, soppy propaganda pushed by global bankers, billionaires, and UN industrial cartels, right? PETA can tell those moist adiabatic lapse rates from the missing tropospheric hotspots if only men could too.
Yeah.
This is such
moist?
Tropospheric?
Tropospheric.
Tropospheric?
Tropospheric, yeah.
Like
not
the troposphere.
Not Trumpospheric, not like,
Like the atmosphere,
not
one
like
of the
Trump's
layers.
gotten
Over the tropics.
Not like Trump's gotten so fat that he has his own orbit.
Well, you knocked my marble off a kilter there for a second.
Well, put your marble back on the kilter, because there's more. PETA strays so far out of their lane, they end up in orbit. They alternatively blame bad weather on meat eating, then on men, on toxic masculinity, and then they blame the babies too. It's breathtaking in grandiose, overbearing, imperious intolerance. Apparently, omnivorous men don't deserve to have babies. A ban on procreation for meat-eating men would be purposeful. They actually say that. Your value to the world is measured in tons of carbon. A bit like a farm animal, really. Except PETA select for small and obedient. Except PETA select for small and obedient. Yeah, okay. Poorly written sentence. Bottom line, it's noble to treat your significant other as a cheap political toy. But remember, be nice to animals. That's ethics the PETA way.
The other side of that equation with the low value aspect of it, right, is there are going to be simps who will totally give up meat to get with that chick.
Yeah.
Or at least pretend to.
Sure.
I mean.
But at the same time, let them have each other.
I just think, so I've been a vegetarian for a long time, and I've had other vegetarian/vegan friends be like, oh, when are you going to manipulate Matt into not eating meat anymore? And I just have never had any interest in ever doing that to anyone. That's the whole point of, being a voluntarist or, it's
right.
He can do whatever he wants to do, and I'm not going to try to coerce or threaten him into doing it.
Right.
Or
Also,
withhold the sex. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would it probably wouldn't work.
But
you're like, all right, see ya.
I also know that
Going to the range.
I also know that he makes a mean steak.
Yeah. He is a chef, yeah.
So, why would you ever want somebody to not exercise the skills that they've spent so much time learning and using and, helping other people, feeding them when they're hungry, that kind of a thing, I just, it makes no sense to me.
Well, it sounds like steak, sausage, and tacos are all in jeopardy.
Major, hang on. We got more coming up. This is Free Talk Live.
Did you or someone you love work, live, or serve at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1988? If you or someone you know lived, served, or worked at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1988 and has cancer, Parkinson's disease, or another serious health issue, they are entitled to compensation. To see if they are eligible, they need to call Liberty Legal. Contaminants in the drinking water have led to these serious diseases, and legislation is now available for veterans and family members who may qualify for financial help from the government. There may be a time deadline, so don't wait. Call 888-918-1037. Anyone that has lived, worked, or served at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1988 and has had cancer, Parkinson's disease, or another serious health issue, the money is already set aside. 888-918-1037. 888-918-1037.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191. Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 15th through the 18th for the 7th annual Fork Fest at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. Fork Fest is a fork of the Porcupine Freedom Festival, which sold out in 2022. For 2023, we're going back to where it all started, the weekend before PorcFest. ForkFest is decentralized, which means that there's no ticket cost and no one is in charge. All you have to do to join the fun is reserve your camping site, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 15th through the 18th. You can find out more at the unofficial website forkfest.party. You can also connect with other attendees on the ForkFest Telegram and Matrix chat rooms, as well as the ForkFest forum. You can find links to those at forkfest.party. We hope to see you there June 15th through the 18th. forkfest.party. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. chat.lrn.fm. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
And we're back! That was my Richie Rich impression. Impression?
Okay. It was impressive.
I'm not impressed.
You're not impressed.
No, nor am I just pressed.
Pressed?
Yes.
I'm just M.
I might gurgitate something later.
And then regurgitate it after that?
No, I don't think I will.
Oh.
I think I'll just stick with the one gurgitation and leave it at that.
Is that one gurgitation like the going down then?
Gurgitator. It just goes on the list of band names that end in ator.
Add it to the list.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure see what he did with his dinner. Totally gurgitated it.
Wow, we have really gone too far. Let's bring Major Payne back because he didn't really get to say anything. We read a bit of the article. Major, your thoughts?
Well, you might be oppressed. I think we're all that, ain't we?
It's only if I'm forced to watch Oprah.
Oh,
read the magazine.
Well, if they put you in jail in Arizona, they might maybe make you listen to the Baby Shark song for 3 days.
The only magazine at the sperm bank.
Oh yeah, there was three guys that actually sued an Arizona sheriff. I think
we covered it. One of them died.
He's repeating a previous show that we covered. Way to go, Major.
I'm glad you get your news from Free Talk Live, though.
Me too.
Well, not.
You were saying it sarcastically.
I do call in quite frequently and give you guys hot biscuits that you ain't heard tell of.
Hot biscuits.
Yes, right off the griddle.
All right.
Well, let the butter slide.
Yeah, well, thanks for the call, Major. We appreciate it.
I don't even know how to use any of that again in any sort of conversation.
Major Payne, everybody, from Michigan, in case you were wondering.
So I pulled up the actual PETA article, and it's not as funny as this article, but it is as cringy.
Well, we can come back to that, but first let's go to Jill calling from Virginia. Jill, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yes, I heard is the idea of a sex strike. I find that idea repugnant, using sex as a bargaining chip.
Yeah.
To say I won't do it unless you do this and so, is the other side of the coin, is if you do what I want, then I will do it. Well, there is a word for a woman who has sex in order to get something. That word is not particularly complimentary to the person, and that's what I think of it, though.
What, like prostitute?
Yeah, or maybe another word that starts with a W.
Oh.
That's also where the guy will go if you withhold the sex.
Well, and you know what happens with
women who get married should be glad to do it with their husbands.
Ooh.
I agree.
Only if they get married, though. And only with their husbands.
So you know what really happens in this circumstance? Because I've seen this before. Guys will just pretend that they're doing the thing, and then when lady's not around, I'm going to go, out with the boys, have a burger, whatever. People are going to do whatever they want to do. That's just
human
life,
nature.
man. That's human nature.
What's that, Joe?
She means the guy will go back on the agreement anyhow.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Because that's what we do.
Maybe,
well,
as a guy,
there is something to be said about keeping your agreements, though, right? And that's supposed to be the whole premise of marriage, right? That you agree to, and people's marriages should be their own, right? You shouldn't necessarily subscribe to one idea. You should make it your own and make your own agreements between you and your significant other, if that's what you choose to do. But you should indeed keep that agreement.
I mean, most of them end with "till death do us part," and there's a lot of divorce going on right now, probably for the best.
Any other thoughts, Jill?
Well, I don't see anything wrong necessarily with killing an animal to eat it for food. After all, animals kill other animals. I don't think it's right to torture an animal to death. I once refused a job in a place because I would have to serve lobster, and I know that lobsters are boiled to death. Some people say they don't feel it, but I don't believe that for a minute.
Oh, we used to cut them in half alive and then steam them.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Then we worked with a Buddhist dude who wouldn't do it. So then, like, they would hand me the knife. Bye-bye, lobster. Cut in half while alive.
Well, if he could
and then
cut
steam.
its head off and chunk a chunk and then it's dead right away, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But torturing it, that's beyond me.
I mean, there was clearly a technique to do it the most humane way. But the fact remains, I cut a lobster's head in half while it was alive.
Well, it's probably better than
And I got
boiling
paid
it
for it.
alive. Yeah, it's pretty gruesome.
Yeah.
Anything else, Jill?
I could mention something else that's rather silly, but suppose if you gave hippopotamuses power and you made a hippopotamus ruler of a country and then a whole bunch of hippopotamuses went and took over a country and maybe the world, would you then say we were living under hypocrisy?
That was a good one.
Thanks for the call, Jill. That was great.
It's a nice way to end the call. I appreciated that.
Yeah.
Hippos are dangerous. They don't get enough credit for being like the world's most dangerous animal.
Yeah.
You do not want to confront
because they kind of
hippopotamus.
look cute when they're animated.
Yeah. I was going to ask, you were talking about the killing of the lobsters.
Yeah.
Did you use the Mark Edge technique?
I don't know what the Mark Edge technique
The Mark Edge technique is when you have animals that you're going to kill for food, that you name them after politicians to help with the killing.
No. I had no trouble with the killing. Did not have to.
You heartless son of a bitch.
I also want to add Killing of the Lobsters to the band name
Killing
list.
of the Lobsters. Doesn't end in Ator, but it's still pretty good.
Yeah.
Killing of the Lobsterdators.
Different list.
The knife that we used, we called Excalibur because it was like a giant chef knife, specifically for the
Was
purpose.
it kept in a stone?
Not in a stone, but it was kept aside from all the other knives in the kitchen.
That was the lobster killing knife.
It really was. It had one purpose in the kitchen, and that was to cut a lobster in half alive.
Do you think the other lobsters were fearful of that knife more so than the others?
I don't know.
Did they know that was specifically for them?
I doubt it.
I mean, we kept the claws rubber band until they were dead. So I mean,
so you did torture them?
No, it was a clean kill, as clean as can be.
Well, keeping a creature's hands tied
bound?
up is
okay.
So I'm wondering how else you would kill them, though. Because it sounds very dramatic to say, I cut its head in half while it was still alive.
That's what we
But
did.
isn't the purpose to kill them, though?
Yeah.
Is that what you're
many
doing?
ways to kill a lobster, right? Hand grenade, for example.
Boiling
that's a way.
it alive? Yeah.
That's a way,
Boiled lobster, steamed lobster.
Hand grenade lobster.
Hand grenade lobster. 9mm pistol lobster. We had a big old lobster farm, and there's so many ways that you can just go on and kill a lobster. Crushed under the boot lobster.
Oh, you're just being shellfish. Next thing you know, you're going to tell me you're driving a rented Stingray and it was overheating, so you pulled into a Shell station. They said you'd blown a seal, and you said, fix the damn thing and leave my private life out of it, okay, pal? 603-283-6160. What is your preferred method for ending the life of a crustacean? This is Free Talk Live, the Sunday night edition. More coming up.
Did you or someone you love work, live, or serve at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1988? If you or someone you know lived, served, or worked at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1988 and has cancer, Parkinson's disease, or another serious health issue, they are entitled to compensation. To see if they are eligible, they need to call Liberty Legal. Contaminants in the drinking water have led to these serious diseases, and legislation is now available for veterans and family members who may qualify for financial help from the government. There may be a time deadline, so don't wait. Call 888-918-1037. Anyone that has lived, worked, or served at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1988 and has had cancer, Parkinson's disease, or another serious health issue, the money is already set aside. 888-918-1037. 888-918-1037.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Kate Fisher. The Indonesian government is promising a full investigation after at least 129 people died in a stampede at a football match. The game between two sides with a bitter rivalry ended in disaster as fans began rioting and police responded with tear gas. Our Asia correspondent Richard Kimber reports.
Indonesia's President Joko Widodo is calling for a full inquiry into what happened and is ordering that all games in the country's top league be postponed. Trouble began after the final whistle in a game between long-standing rivals Arema FC and Persebaya Surabaya. As the players began leaving the field, fans started rioting and then invading the pitch, clashing with scores of police. Videos on social media show police wielding riot shields and batons, responding with force and firing numerous rounds of tear gas. Chaotic stampedes and crashes then ensued as more than 40,000 fans in attendance tried to escape through the stadium exits. Government officials say the stadium was overcrowded, with 4,000 more people in attendance than the official capacity, and that advice to hold the match in the afternoon rather than the evening had been ignored.
Ukraine has made its most significant battlefield gain in weeks, claiming full control of the strategic city of Liman, a key logistics hub in the east of the country. Sergio Olmos reports from the Ukrainian capital, Kyiv.
Liman sits at a railway juncture that Russia was using to supply its troops along that eastern front. But politically, the reason it's very important is because it's one of the regions that Vladimir Putin said was now part of Russia, quote, forever. And within 24 hours, Ukrainian troops are throwing down the Russian flags from administrative buildings, putting up the Ukrainian flags, winning back a city that they had lost.
Hurricane Ian continues to weaken, but its trail of destruction is expected to take months to clear up. US President Joe Biden is due to visit Florida on Wednesday, the state that was hit the hardest. From where FSN's Chris Jones reports.
It's been absolutely devastating for millions of residents along the southwest Floridian coast. And I was in Fort Myers, listed as the real ground zero of Hurricane Ian, and they reported 5 to 6 foot waves coming over the shore and into their houses.
When I came around the corner, I didn't realize how bad. I mean, we have a sailboat in our front yard.
I was expecting this hurricane to land 120 miles north of here. And I had no idea it was going to take a sharp right turn and come into Fort Myers. So I had no option to get out of town.
As the waters have calmed and subsided, the damage is all too clear to see. Some can't really see a way forward. They don't know how long it's going to take to clear up the mess. They also don't know how much it's going to cost.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
You can help spread the ideas of liberty with our Patreon for just $5 per month at amps.freetalklive.com.
And we're back.
Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening on this Sunday night edition of Free Talk Live. The telephone number here in the studio is 603-283-6160. And we'll get to your calls and thoughts momentarily. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me,
it's Nikki.
And Richie Rich.
We've been talking about, well, a whole bunch of things, really. But this article from joannenova.com.au talking about PETA wanting to, or calling for females to go on a sex strike to save the planet from storms that are caused by steak and sausages. That's the gist of it. And we can get back to that and talk more about that. But first, let's go to some of your calls and thoughts. Let's first go to Greg in New York. Greg, you're on Free Talk Live. Welcome.
Hey,
So in a couple days on Tuesday, I'm going to be having another discussion with Noam Chomsky on my show.
Okay,
cool.
And yeah, I'm friends with Noam for many years, since 2014 when he was still at MIT. And since then, we've had a lot of discussions about free speech and capitalism and Israel and Russia and other things.
What show is that is your show, in case our listeners don't know?
Oh, the Intercoin Show.
Okay.
If the listeners want to tune in, is it okay if I tell them?
Of course.
This
Not if it's between
Thursday-
7 and 10 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah, it's not.
Just saying.
But it's Thursday at 12 Eastern time. Thursday at 12. If they go to, it's on Telegram. If you go to t.me/Intercoin. So Intercoin is my company, and one of the things we started doing is we started a show where I interviewed like a lot of interesting people, like the founder of Freenet, the first decentralized social network,
nice,
and a lot of other people.
Noam Chomsky is a weird one because he's good on certain issues.
He's like
and terrible.
He's like a left anarchist, if I remember right.
Yeah, that's a fair description.
Dude's got a bunch of quotes that I like, but then he's got some quotes that I'm like, really, where did that come from?
Right. There's a lot of, I'm going to say, inconsistencies, in my opinion.
There, I'm a left libertarian.
Sure. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. There would have been Georgists. George Carlin, you could say, is a left libertarian too.
It's so weird that everybody claims George Carlin.
Georgists. Let me just say this: Georgists are probably maybe the worst minarchist ever. The worst.
I am not a Georgist.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought you just said Georgists.
Anyway, so what I want to say is Noam Chomsky and Sam Harris went at it several years ago. People who would remember, they're both atheists, basically. But one thing that so Sam Harris was talking to Noam Chomsky about how the U.S. Has good intentions and how it goes around the world with good intentions, whereas the bad guys, well, they have bad intentions, and if they had our type of weaponry, they'd just destroy everybody, and we just have collateral damage and things like that. But overall, our intentions are good. And Noam Chomsky was like, well, there's a pattern here, and the United States is not dumb, and millions of people die, so they clearly know what they're getting into every time now, and they're still doing it,
right?
And so on. So overall, there were these two camps. But one thing that Noam Chomsky said to Sam Harris right away in the email exchange, I found very interesting, and I agree with it. He said that even though Sam Harris is an atheist, right, he still believes in the state religion. That was Noam Chomsky saying that. And what I see is that, back in the times of USSR or these federations, there's federations out there like the United States and EU. There used to be USSR. And so back then, when Crimea changed hands from Russia to Ukraine, nobody really cared so much. It was like an administrative change, right? They would change the street signs and other things.
Yeah, changing the name on your driver's license or something like that is totally administrative.
Exactly. And nobody has to kill each other for that. As long as people can go to work the next day and be safe and provide for their families, you would think that this is not the most important thing in the world. But because of statism, right, and people believe so much this flag must be there or that flag must be there, and it's these are our people. I mean, think about that. They think they own the people, right, who live there, that even if the people would vote to do this or that, they don't care. Right. The international system is composed of countries, and countries don't like it when regions of countries secede. And so my point is this: it's actually kind of like religion, like with the religion. The belief in the state could literally wipe out life on Earth because a different flag is over a region, and I find that to be really, really strange.
Well, and that's one of the beautiful things about religion, right? If you want to get into that part, is there's no territorial monopoly, right? You can believe in what you want and operate under that set of guidelines in the same geographic region as someone who operates under another.
Right. If you want to be a Buddhist but live in New York City, you can do that. If you want to be a Catholic and live in Zimbabwe, you can do that, because these ideas are not tied to geographical location or imaginary lines known as borders. Absolutely.
And somehow government, with their territorial monopoly, right, claim ownership over everybody, regardless of your religion or whatever in that area.
There was a time when religions claimed territory, like the Crusades, or the times when they would, kick Jews out of Spain or whatever. They would go ahead and try to take over this or that, and kind of mandate that society look like this or do this.
Sure.
And they still have that sort of in some countries, like Saudi Arabia doesn't really have much freedom.
Theocracies.
Right. But people have learned this thing called multiculturalism, and they realize it's actually pretty good that people don't kill each other for these kinds of things. So perhaps one day they could have you could belong, a person could belong to some state, and next to them a person could belong to some other state, and they would realize it's okay.
Yeah.
You don't need to have the roads bundled with the school system, bundled with the flag, bundled with the army. You could actually unbundle that and just have different agencies serving neighborhoods, and that's it.
Yeah, and you should be able to get all of those services a la carte at your preferred price point. And also, if they do a bad job, you should be free to go get some other service provider who will do a good job that lives up to your standards. And thanks for the call, Greg. We appreciate you. Excellent points all the way around. I too hope that one day mankind will be able to subscribe to a road service provider in the same way you subscribe to an internet service provider.
Sure.
And that's how you get on the roads and drive around. No state necessary, right? No violence necessary, no road pirates necessary. And you could do the same thing, because all that governments do is provide services or products, but they do it in a monopoly and at the behest of a gun. There's always coercion behind the state.
Yeah.
So when the state says nobody else can offer these products or services except us, what they're doing is threatening other people if they try and compete with them. And that's the part that we need to eliminate. As soon as we can eliminate that, as soon as we can build some sort of a thing that begins to compete with governments, then we will see liberty.
Unfortunately, right now, there's also a movement with regards to the internet to declare it to be an essential service and run by the state.
What?
Internet service.
Oh.
Right? And you got to provide it.
And make it a utility.
It's essential now, so now it's got to be a utility.
Yeah, because that's, like food and water and shelter.
Of course, it should be run to the rural areas where they wouldn't normally get service, because it's a necessity to live in modern society. And it's a utility.
I mean, the internet is doing just fine by itself without the government, getting involved. And in fact, if the government does get involved, it means the internet's going to suck more.
Well, just so your electricity, typically the region will have a monopoly on that.
Yep.
So you don't get a different price. You don't get better service. That's what you get.
603-283-6160. Are you tired of governments claiming monopolies over products and services? Is there a product and service that you would like to see decentralized and decoupled? Give us a call. This is Free Talk Live.
Do you prefer to listen to Free Talk Live on your schedule on demand? You can find the link to our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com, which features the daily digest of our radio show 7 days a week. Just drop our RSS feed into your favorite podcast client, or subscribe to us on the large platforms if you prefer, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartMedia, Spotify, and Stitcher. All the links are at feeds.freetalklive.com. If the daily digests aren't enough for you and you really don't want to miss a moment of Free Talk Live, you can always sign up for our AMPS Patreon at amps.freetalklive.com for just $5 a month, and you'll get the full radio show without recorded commercials. Plus, you'll help us advertise, market, promote, and support Free Talk Live. That's amps.freetalklive.com to join AMPS, or feeds.freetalklive.com to get our main podcast, or find us on the major podcast platforms. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
We're back.
Jeez.
Bravo. That was impressive.
Working on my breathing techniques. No, not really.
Becoming a real professional.
Every now and again you gotta bust out the old, the
pipes.
The pipes. You gotta do a thing. Also, I was kind of reminiscing about the guy who does the ring announcing.
Michael Buffer?
Yeah, that's the guy.
Or Bruce Buffer?
Let's get ready to
Don't do
rumble!
it. Don't do it. He's got that trademark, man. Now you got to pay him $50,000.
No.
I don't think so. You know why?
Because you're a parody artist.
Because I'm a comedian.
Oh, okay.
That's right. Fair use, bitches. For education, social commentary, satire, and comic value.
Well, chalk that one up to the education tab.
Sure.
Yep.
It's a multiple choice question. No answers are incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it's Free Talk Live. Telephone number 603-283-6160 if you'd like to join us. In the studio, it's myself, the captain.
It's Nikki.
And Richie Rich.
He says with a bark. Let's go to Kyle in Michigan. Kyle, you're on Free Talk Live. Kyle, turn your Bluetooth off. Turn on the radio.
Turn on the radio?
Turn it. Kyle.
Turn on the radio.
Kyle. Well, don't do it. Well, don't do it. Well. Sing a song about Kyle's mom. Kyle's not here, so we won't talk to Kyle. Let's go to government. Calling from government. Government, you're on the air.
Can we hang up and already? Government.
Oh, is this Sarah?
Oh, wait, hang on.
Oh, no.
Hang on, Sarah. Government, are you there?
Ruin the surprise.
Dave's not here.
Is government there?
The government's here. Dave's not here.
All right, where government's calling from government. What's on government's mind?
Government.
Government, of course. And Noam Chomsky, Jewish atheist. Makes sense. And harvesting additional information from generationjustice.org.
Okay, wait a minute. That was pretty funny.
Judge,
that was pretty funny. The Chomsky bit.
I noticed it.
Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
I noticed that Judge John J. Romero Jr., never having had a private sector job in his life, or in his real career anyway, he's always worked for the government. His first government job, if you remember, was an air traffic controller. Ironically, coincidentally, me, whom he effed over, was beginning a commercial airline pilot career at the time that Judge John J. Romero Jr. was illegally going on strike. And I wanted to say to Judge John J. Romero Jr., when he went on strike, did he realize that he was not only inconveniencing myself and all of my passengers flying all over the U.S. and the world, but he also put us in danger because his replacements were not in the habit of doing that job on a daily basis. They got quickly.
It's a good question. Yeah. I do have a question about.
I don't think it should be illegal for anyone to go on strike. Real quick.
Okay.
Well, it was, though. He broke the rule. He broke his own rule. He's a judge. He's a judge, and he makes sure that you don't break the rules. And it was a rule, in fact, a law, that Judge John J. Romero Jr. of New Mexico do not go on strike. It was illegal what he did, but he did it anyway, and then he went on to become not only a lawyer, but a judge.
I do have a question about Judge John J. Romero. Do you know what the J stands for? Does it stand for John? Because it would be funny if his name was Judge John Romero.
Jehovah.
Stands for Jingleheimer Schmidt.
Hey, his name's my name, too. Thanks for the call, government. That was government, everybody. It's calling from government. Jingleheimer Schmidt. His name is my name, too. Whenever we go. Anyway, I won't bore you with that.
The people all
moving right along. Let's go to Sarah in New Mexico.
From
Sarah,
government as well.
You're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah. New Mexico Dave, he's a riot. But anyway.
You enjoy him?
Oh, I wish he would riot.
Oh, I mean, he is outlandish. He is an interesting person. He digs a 9-foot hole during the session to stay warm instead of paying for hotels. Kind of fascinating. So, but anyway, Santa Fe, they're going to be getting all completely electric school buses, and then
that should go well.
Cars. So they actually had a all electric car at the plaza, Santa Fe Plaza, cars, and so school buses and city work trucks completely electric was part of the showcase. So, rest assured, we're going to be following California right along and just turn all electric.
Oh, good. Glad to hear it.
School bus might be a limited use case where an electric vehicle makes sense.
What? Yeah, because you can plug it in, do the route, and then plug it back in. It does make more sense than me having, my car, and it just doesn't really, if I'm going long distance somewhere, it doesn't make sense.
You're never going long distance in a school bus, right? They do the same route daily. So an EV school bus is a limited
until
use
you
case.
take like a field trip to the nearest big city, and you got to do the round.
Well,
trip
I wonder
thing,
how long those batteries last. It should last at least like 5 hours. I
mean, the technology certainly has come a long way. Just the fact that we have electric cars of many different varieties by many different manufacturers, and they're roadworthy and able to run with the fuel based or the fossil fuel based vehicles at the same rate of speed and acceleration and all that kind of stuff speaks volumes about the technology and how far it's come.
But the school bus spends most of its days parked anyway, right? So All
Yeah.
right.
So
I can see
anyway, did I tell you that New Mexico is rated number 4? We're number 4 with the cleanest state. Vermont came in number 1st with the no poison in the soils, but we're ranked number 4. And I just want to say, New Mexico has been traditionally very environmentally clean. I mean,
well, yeah, but Sarah, again, New Mexico is a giant desert.
Well, the people that stayed here, a lot of the natives, they and then a lot of the Latinos that remained and established the state. When 100 years ago, they fought off the rubber companies, the petroleum companies, but they never wanted to set up anyways. But I mean, they had to fight them off. They wanted to set up shop here, like Ohio or something.
You don't get credit for environmentalism by driving an electric vehicle or moving in that direction, right? Because
it's always been this way.
But it's because you move the process, like the dirty process, down the line, so you can feel good about yourself, right? Strip mining.
I just think that people that were here 100 years ago.
Strip mining the earth for lithium batteries is bad for the environment.
Yes.
Right. Charging that thing with coal-powered stations is bad for the environment. So just because you plugged it in at home, right, doesn't take away all the bad environmental effects that went into the process of getting you to that stage. It's just another one of those, like, the seen versus the unseen, and they market the seen, which is, oh, look at this, it's just beautiful electricity. And they hide the unseen, which is the strip mining and the coal mining and the coal production and the lithium mining for the lithium batteries that they don't let you see.
And that's my big issue, because I think electric cars are great. I think the technology is cool. I love that we're moving in this direction where it's nice to expand the industry. But when governments are trying to force me to give up my cars with internal combustion engines because that's bad for the environment, well, guess what? Everything's bad for the environment. Unless you're riding a horse, that's probably, or a bike. Those are, if you're going to have an electric car or a car that runs on gas or diesel, it's going to take some sort of toll on the environment.
Sarah, thanks for the call. We appreciate it.
And the horses pooped all over the place, too.
Fertilizer.
Yeah, well,
whatever.
It should be a completely market-driven process.
It should be.
That is to say that whoever is manufacturing these electric vehicles should manufacture them in such a way that they exceed the features and outweigh the benefits of fossil fuel-based vehicles. When they do that, then the market will naturally take over. Governments should have no say in any of it whatsoever, period.
You are correct. And even at a market mechanism, it doesn't take away the environmental impact factors.
Right.
Well,
the market can choose the worst thing for the environment and would still be okay with it because the market has decided.
Right.
And if government wasn't involved in the first place, I'm sure we would have air-powered cars, water-powered cars. Electric vehicles would have been in the market 40 years ago.
Agreed.
The government just slows everything down and eliminates choice from the people.
There's an older documentary called Who Killed the Electric Car. Go watch that thing.
I was going to mention that, but thank you. Yes, we're on the same wavelength. Do go watch Who Killed the Electric Car. Particularly you, Sarah, in New Mexico. Watch Who Killed the Electric Car. Go find that. This is Free Talk Live, 603-283-6160. More. Coming up, hour number 3 is next.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
I'm crazy about My Magic Mud. This is the most important oral care product created this millennium, and I'm not kidding. We all have different opinions on politics and issues, but we all have mouths. And I want yours to be as clean as possible, with teeth as bright as they were meant to be. I will never be without My Magic Mud. It's a little surprising, but man, does it work. If you only listen to one thing I say ever, go to mymagicmud.com and get 20% off with code FTL. mymagicmud.com, code FTL.
There are basically two types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. chat.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Kate Fisher. The Indonesian government is promising a full investigation after at least 129 people died in a stampede at a football match. The game between two sides with a bitter rivalry ended in disaster as fans began rioting and police responded with tear gas. Our Asia correspondent Richard Kimber reports.
Indonesia's President Joko Widodo is calling for a full inquiry into what happened and is ordering that all games in the country's top league be postponed. Trouble began after the final whistle in a game between long-standing rivals Arema FC and Persebaya Surabaya. As the players began leaving the field, fans started rioting and then invading the pitch, clashing with scores of police. Videos on social media show police wielding riot shields and batons, responding with force and firing numerous rounds of tear gas. Chaotic stampedes and crashes then ensued as more than 40,000 fans in attendance tried to escape through the stadium exits. Government officials say the stadium was overcrowded, with 4,000 more people in attendance than the official capacity, and that advice to hold the match in the afternoon rather than the evening had been ignored.
Ukraine has made its most significant battlefield gain in weeks, claiming full control of the strategic city of Liman, a key logistics hub in the east of the country. Sergio Olmos reports from the Ukrainian capital, Kyiv.
Liman sits at a railway juncture that Russia was using to supply its troops along that eastern front. But politically, the reason it's very important is because it's one of the regions that Vladimir Putin said was now part of Russia, quote, forever. And within 24 hours, Ukrainian troops are throwing down the Russian flags from administrative buildings, putting up the Ukrainian flags, winning back a city that they had lost.
Hurricane Ian continues to weaken, but its trail of destruction is expected to take months to clear up. US President Joe Biden is due to visit Florida on Wednesday, the state that was hit the hardest, from where FSN's Chris Jones reports.
It's been absolutely devastating for millions of residents along the southwest Floridian coast. And I was in Fort Myers, listed as the real ground zero of Hurricane Ian, and they reported 5 to 6 foot waves coming over the shore and into their houses.
When I came around the corner, I didn't realize how bad. I mean, we have a sailboat in our front yard.
I was expecting this hurricane to land 120 miles north of here. And I had no idea it was going to take a sharp right turn and come into Fort Myers. So I had no option to get out of town.
As the waters have calmed and subsided, the damage is all too clear to see. Some can't really see a way forward. They don't know how long it's going to take to clear up the mess. They also don't know how much it's going to cost.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks. The Greek government is again seeking to strike an agreement with the UK that would see the return of the Elgin marbles, an extraordinary frieze removed from the Parthenon by Lord Elgin in the year 1801. They were transported to London, where they're on display in the British Museum. The Greek Prime Minister Konstantin Mitsotakis told the Sunday Times newspaper that he plans to urge the new British Prime Minister Liz Truss to solve the ongoing irritant in bilateral relations. He also said that King Charles III privately supports the idea of shipping the marbles back to Greece. Dan Hicks is a professor of contemporary archaeology at Oxford University.
You know, actually, opinion on these issues has really shifted here in the UK. There was a YouGov poll last year that showed that 59% of those asked thought they ought to be returned, and only 18% thought they should be sort of held onto. And that's really different to, say, where we were 20 years ago. Not only is it about a moral case for return, it's also about the fact we want to visit our museums where we are in a real way able to celebrate world culture without having to hold on to things that we nicked.
Last year, former British Prime Minister Boris Johnson ruled out a request to send the marbles back to Greece, insisting that Lord Elgin had legally acquired them after receiving a permit from Ottoman forces who, at the time, were occupying Athens. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
Our main news again. The Indonesian government is promising a full investigation after at least 129 people died in a stampede at a football match. Ukraine has made its most significant battlefield gain in weeks, claiming full control of the strategic city of Liman. And Hurricane Ian may be weakening, but its trail of destruction is expected to take months to clear up. And that's the latest feature story news. Kate Fisher reporting.
It's the video sensation that's taking the internet by storm. A web series on YouTube passed the 100 views mark this week. Titled Andrew and John, the wildly popular webisodes feature roommates Andrew Vanier and John Haney playing fictionalized versions of themselves in unusual situations, mostly set in and around their Chicago apartment.
Dude, did you get my tart? What's a tart? Oh, you just texted me a fart.
Their latest short, titled Laundry Day, reached the unprecedented 100-view milestone this week after a heavy promotional push in which the duo posted the skits to their Facebook pages. The hit video features the roommates wearing unconventional outfits while scrounging up enough change to do laundry in their basement. Other popular episodes include Foreign Landlord, featuring John's friend Brett from work, and a video where Andrew suspects John might be a zombie.
Our videos consistently get over 50 views now, but Laundry Day, that's the first one that's really taken off.
Yeah, everyone I know has seen it.
It's completely viral.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
And we're back. Telephone number here is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. The name of the show is Free Talk Live. You can find out more about us over at freetalklive.com. If you missed any part of our 3-hour nightly show, you can find the archives over there, too. Some radio stations choose to only broadcast an hour or two of our show. Some radio stations will broadcast us when we're not live. So if you are going to call, please call between 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. Eastern Time, because that's when the show is actually live. If you want to hear the show live and you're in a market where they only play part of us or they play the show where we're not live, you can always tune in live over at freetalklive.com. In the studio, it's myself, the captain.
It's Nikki.
And Richie Rich.
We've been talking about all sorts of things, and one of the things that we were talking about was lobster murder. And Kyle is calling from Michigan.
And Nikki's new fascination with Grady Stiles.
Yep, Lobster Boy.
Lobster Boy.
The story takes a wild turn. Let me just tell you.
Well, you can tell us in just a minute. First, let's hear from Kyle. Kyle, you're on Free Talk Live.
Am I live now?
Yes, you are.
Oh, my goodness. Well, it's been a while, hasn't it?
I guess so. What's on your mind, Kyle?
Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot at all.
Doesn't sound like it.
How you doing?
It sounded like you had something to say about murdered lobster.
Or lobster murder.
Well, hey, if you're going to kill something, kill it quickly, right? One shot, one kill.
Okay.
Depends.
That big knife, that big cheese knife in the kitchen, that straight blade pizza knife.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one strike down the spine of a lobster, and it's done. They don't feel anything.
Are you a cook or a former cook?
I've been cooking for pretty much all my professional career.
Nice.
How do they run the test to determine whether or not the lobster felt anything?
You can look back in the 16th and 17th centuries for that test.
Okay.
Called the guillotine.
Okay. I mean, I hear what you're saying, and it sounds nice to tell people that, like, oh, don't worry about it. They don't feel anything. But at the same time,
Not that they don't feel anything. I mean, anything that lives and breathes feels something.
Okay.
Right down from the flowers to the trees to us and everything in between.
Okay.
That's the circle of life.
Right. I'm not justifying it. I don't care. I'll kill the lobster.
Fast, sharp snap is the quickest, most humane way of doing things.
Okay.
That seems like the right way to me. Like, you want to be as humane as possible.
I get it. But
that's the only way to do it. That's
but it sounds weird when they're like, they don't feel it. It's okay. You don't have to feel bad because they don't feel it.
Well, and people use that argument with fishing, right?
Well,
they're like,
sure.
well, their nervous system is different. And I just can't believe it. Show me the EEG where you're showing brain waves or whatever. Like, let's do a CAT scan on them and let's see,
CAT scan on a fish.
Fish scan fever.
Like, I need some scientific tests.
How would your opinion change if you saw that test come out positively? Would you then be okay with fishing?
I mean,
I would absolutely be okay with it.
I mean, I'm already okay with fishing, so like, I don't think my opinion would change.
It's not that I'm not okay with fishing. Like, people can fish. I'm not gonna like protest them and whatever, make an abstinence pact. But, but my point is, it's just weird to me that people are like fishing for sport and they're like, oh no, it's fine, even if they don't feel pain in their face, in their nervous system doesn't work that way. That sounds stressful and. My philosophy is if you're going to catch a fish, eat it.
Is fish the only fish the only animal where when you go to obtain some of it, it's called the animal? Like if I go
fishing, you're not like bearing or cowing.
Animals in the root of things.
Yeah, I go hunting for deer. I don't go deering.
Okay.
Right? I don't go ducking. Right? I don't go frogging.
Well, I don't know about that.
Yeah,
but I do go fishing, right? What did you do today? Oh, fish.
Birding? Birding's a thing, right?
I think I'll bird today.
Fish and whistle. John Prine said it best.
Anything else on your mind tonight, Kyle?
Depending on the fish, you could go noodling.
Where are you from, young lady? I know that voice from somewhere.
Me?
I hope he's calling you the young lady and not me.
Well, I don't know.
She seems so uncertain as to who he was talking to. Do you know who you're doing the show with tonight?
A couple of other young ladies, right?
Listen, I didn't want to assume your gender.
That's kind of ballsy, ain't it?
I can tell you, I don't know how specific she wants to get, but I can tell you that she is from planet Earth.
She doesn't have to be specific at all. That's just it.
I do the show 2 days a week, so maybe that's it.
She's from Venus. At least that's what the book told me.
All right. Well, I am an avid listener, so I mean, it's not that I haven't heard your voice before, but I could have swore that I heard that voice somewhere very close, very recently.
In your dreams.
Shouting at somebody?
She does like to haunt people every now and again, even though she's still alive.
Is that what it is? Is she a ghost of sorts?
She's kind of pale.
I might be.
She's not the most tan individual.
Well, no, but neither am I.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for the call, Kyle. We appreciate you. That's Kyle from somewhere, Michigan, I think.
You're famous in Michigan.
I guess so.
Yeah. How's it feel?
I've been to Michigan before, once, like 10 years ago.
Upper Peninsula, Lower Peninsula?
So, I don't know, Romeo, wherever that is. Small town.
Right next to Juliet.
Yeah. Oh, really? Thanks. In the town of Shakespeare?
No. Illinois, maybe? I don't know.
No, that's south.
Oh.
South and west of Michigan, yeah.
I was told there would be no geography quiz.
I was told there'd be no math. So. Free Talk Live, the only show where there's no math and no geography.
Except there usually is.
Yeah, both. Yeah, it's true.
A lot of history, a lot of politics.
Yeah.
A lot of economics.
Yeah.
This is college level stuff.
Kind of, yeah, at times. Sometimes even like higher, like PhD level.
How many college merits do you think people get for listening to this show?
I don't think they get any.
No?
No.
I don't think they call them merits in college. Credits. by the time you get there.
But that's what we call them. Their
call
merits
them.
here.
Yeah, and
get your Free Talk Live degree. Only 128 merits. You do it right, we'll even print you a diploma.
I wonder if government
Stick it on the wall. Oh, where is it?
I wonder if government would guarantee student loans for Free Talk Live University. If we could start putting out content and calling it an educational course that's a learn at your own pace kind of a thing.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to take over that responsibility,
I don't.
I don't.
Sounds like a lot of work, really.
Yeah.
It sounds like a lot of work, and I don't know if Free Talk Live would be the type of organization to look for those government types of income.
It certainly would not,
right?
As a matter of fact,
because in libertarian circles, you already have the Ron Paul curriculum, right, for that level.
The Mises Institute.
The Mises Institute for above that, and you got the Tuttle Twins books
for below that.
Yep. So that's
all you need, really.
There's a lot of educational resources to get you these concepts.
You've just invented the free individual curriculum.
There you go.
Tuttle
Twins, Ron Paul curriculum, and the Mises University.
Bam.
Do it.
Go.
Graduate from all three of those.
And people say that they can't homeschool. Boom, there it is, right there for you.
Done.
Well, and in that realm, literally everything that I learned in grade school, kindergarten, grade school, middle school, and high school is now available in the form of YouTube or some sort of PDF document on the internet.
Yep.
And so if that's true, then that alone makes government schools obsolete.
Completely.
They no longer have a purpose.
The purpose is to babysit while double-income houses.
Yeah, that is the purpose.
Babysit and brainwash. It reveals the true purpose of school, because if school was just there for the curriculum, for the learning ability, and the storage of the information, then why school would already be gone. Public school, as we know. 603-283-6160. Do you support abolishing public schools? Let us know.
Did you or someone you love work, live, or serve at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1988? If you or someone you know lived, served, or worked at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1988 and has cancer, Parkinson's disease, or another serious health issue, they are entitled to compensation. To see if they are eligible, they need to call Liberty Legal. Contaminants in the drinking water have led to these serious diseases, and legislation is now available for veterans and family members who may qualify for financial help from the government. There may be a time deadline, so don't wait. Call 888-918-1037. Anyone that has lived, worked, or served at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1988 and has had cancer, Parkinson's disease, or another serious health issue, the money is already set aside. 888-918-1037. 888-918-1037.
Inflation, a sidelined labor force, and ever-increasing interest rates. It's the perfect storm for pushing the U.S. economy over the edge. Savvy investors are diversifying into gold and silver with BullionMax.com. You can buy direct from BullionMax.com without talking to a salesperson, and your precious metals will ship fully insured directly to your home. Free Talk Live listeners can now order one of BullionMax's most popular products, the Goldback. Now in stock, but supplies are going fast. To get your Goldbacks, go to BullionMax.com/FTL.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com. Excuse me, is this where I get a license to start a new business?
I wouldn't be hasty. You have to get a license to go out of business, too, you know.
Oh, well, look, I've invented this little anti-gravity machine, see?
Oh, is that why you're walking 2 inches above the floor?
Oh, yes, it's very comfortable. It saves on shoe leather.
Yeah, well, you have to fill out these forms and report to the Human Services Department of Manpower Orientation and register with the Fair Employment Practice Commission, the Wage and Hour Division of the Employment Standards Administration, the State Sales and Income Tax Division, the Internal Revenue Service, and the Social Security Administration of the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, and, of course, OSHA.
OSHA? I thought that was a little town in Wisconsin.
You'll find out. Say, floating around like that could be dangerous. Have you checked with the Consumer Product Safety Commission?
Well, not yet.
Come to think of it, you actually are flying, aren't you? Look, you need to go over to the Federal Aviation Administration and the Transportation...
It's very hard to get anything done these days if you're in business, but free enterprise built this country. Think what could happen if we don't keep it free. A public service of this station and the Center for the Defense of Free Enterprise, Bellevue, Washington.
We just can't have people floating about unregulated, you know.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Have you had enough of the big-name web hosting services that are long on promises but short on bleeding-edge features, uptime, and customer service? Try Agorist Hosting, the agile web host that offers full concierge service from website redesign, full e-commerce solutions, custom apps for your Shopify store, IPFS integration, and more. Agorist Hosting is ready to take your web presence into the future. To get started, head over to agoristhosting.com.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
And we're back.
The telephone number here in the studio, if you would like to call and join us, is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio, it's myself, the captain.
It's Nikki.
And Rich.
Do you really want liberty in your lifetime?
Of course.
I know I do. Later this year, Mark Edge of Free Talk Live is speaking at Free Cities Foundation's annual conference, Liberty in Our Lifetime. It's being held in the beautiful city of Prague, October 21st through 23rd, and it showcases autonomous cities and intentional communities that are springing up all around the world now, offering opportunities for settlers to live freer lives. The conference theme is Parallel Structures for Progress, and they'll explore physical developments and parallel structures emerging in education and finance that offer alternatives for people looking for better ways to learn, educate their children, and invest in their future. Free Private Cities is offering all Free Talk Live listeners a special 20% discount on tickets, which can be claimed when checking out on their Eventbrite site with the promo code FTL20. That's FTL20. To find out more about the conference, visit lifetimeliberty.com and follow the conference on Twitter. Their handle is @LibertyIOL. Make sure you get your tickets soon and take advantage of the early bird discount because it actually ends on October 3rd, which is tomorrow. So go ahead and take advantage of that now because time is running out. If you'd like to buy your ticket in Bitcoin, just send them a Twitter direct message for instructions. Again, lifetimeliberty.com. That's in Prague, October 21st through 23rd. Use the code FTL20 to get 20% off, and the discount ends October 3rd, tomorrow.
FOMO. Get it done now.
Get to it.
Don't be missing out. You know you're scared.
Or you'll be late.
And pay more.
Don't pay more because you're late. Words to live by. All right. We like to take calls from people who call.
Most people.
And so we do have some people calling. We actually have Jack from Washington calling. Jack, you're on Free Talk Live.
Thanks for taking my call.
What's on your mind?
Any of you three young men, fishermen or hunters?
Nope.
I have been hunting, and I have been fishing, and I also was a commercial fisherman for a short period of time.
Well, that's pretty cool. Do you like to eat fish? Nikki, I know you don't eat meat, but
do you eat fish?
Do you guys enjoy eating meat?
I recently became a pescatarian.
She's graduated.
Yes.
What does that mean?
So now I do enjoy eating fish.
It's like a vegetarian who also eats fish.
Yeah.
And
It's like a Pisces.
Okay.
I'm a Pisces.
I'm not a pescatarian.
I'm on the cusp of Pisces and Aries.
Apparently,
so.
Jack's a Pisces.
Yeah.
I'm also a Pisces.
Yeah.
We rule, but I
I'm
don't know what
March
that has to do with me eating fish.
I'm March 20th. Sorry, me and Jack are having a side conversation about our birthdays.
I march to no one.
But I'm not a fisherman, but I've been fishing, and one of the things about it, and I want to go back real quick before I get left off, is Nikki made a really interesting comment. Why can't we put a fish maybe in a tank and put it into a CAT scan to its brain, or an MRI, whichever one does the brain,
Fish scan,
and put a hook in and out of its cheek? You're going to see it's feeling pain, I believe.
I'm sure there's some way to do that experiment, and I'm surprised it's never been done before. I'm sure it has, and maybe that's how people know that they don't feel pain. Who knows? But I'm pretty sure they do.
That seems like more torture. You're not going to get the fish's consent for it, and all of a sudden you're like hooking it in the mouth and then unhooking it, then hooking it again just to read the charts.
Look here, Mr. Fish. If you consent to sign these forms of consent, so we can do these experiments.
Basically,
on you.
what's going to the hospital?
We'll make sure to take care of your family. You see, and we're going to perform these tests. That's right. That's it.
You go fishing and it gets hooked. It gets hooked once, right? And then the hook gets removed and then it dies of whatever.
Oh.
But then now you put it in a tank and you just keep hooking it.
Well, just do it once. You don't have to keep doing it. It's for the greater good. It's for science.
Oh, so now he's a fish martyr sacrifice. You got to do it more than once. You can't. It's just a one-off test. You gotta baseline that thing and then see the result.
There's no good answer.
Let's talk about our beef. Let's not talk about it.
What's your beef with beef?
We know what we do to our beef to make it taste good. It ain't pretty.
Salt it, grill it,
pepper it.
No, kill them upside down and cut their necks so their blood runs
Well,
out.
you could you could do that after and just shoot it in the back of the neck first, and then do all the upside down business.
Public radio, I guess.
Yeah.
So actually, meat, specifically cows, when they have high anxiety and stress, they have all of those stress hormones flowing through their bloodstream in their body, and it actually makes the meat taste worse.
Correct.
So if you just sneak up behind them kind of, and they don't know, which would, be a more humane way than factory farming, where they're like tortured their whole lives, and then they're on this death conveyor belt and they know what's going on in front of them and they can smell it. It actually makes the meat taste better when you kill them in a more humane way. They're probably...
That's why calves taste so good, because they haven't been alive long enough to...
Yeah, they don't know any better.
Cats?
Calf.
Oh, sorry.
Veal.
That might be like the only justification I would accept, right? Because the humanitarian aspect of it, I don't care.
Baby killer.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But my point is, you're going to kill the animal for meat, right? Whether you do it humanely or you don't do it humanely, you still end up with a dead animal. So it's not like you ever cared about the animal, right? Because you're killing it.
You say the same thing about a human being, though. I would rather die nicely than terribly and frightened.
Sure, you would, but if I was in like the human killing business, right, for food or for sustenance, what do I care? Unless, of course, it's the stress hormones and it alters the flavor. In which case, I want to like maximize the hormones that get released for the best tasting.
Well, I know a lot of farmers who care about how they treat their animals. It's kind of a little...
Well, because they want an advantage in the marketplace.
But I think it's like a moral thing too, though. And
you're killing.
Right. You're still killing, and there's the same end result, but it's like, let's be as nice as possible about it. Let's not like be totally like torturing thing, because that's sick. To me, like torturing animals, that's like a mental illness.
Well,
that also happens in nature, though.
Sometimes in an animal or a dog.
The vultures that will attack before the animal is completely dead and start picking at it.
Yeah, that's true. It does happen in nature. I agree with the humanitarian style approach when it comes to farming animals. It does give, as you pointed out, the cows taste better if they're treated more humanely. And also, farmers found out a long time ago, dairy farmers that is, that if you just keep the cows like in the barn, just sort of standing there, that eventually they stop giving milk. But if you let them roam around and believe that they're free a little bit, they give a whole lot more milk.
Like the VR glasses
they started
that they have.
doing that too.
Right. And so governments have also figured this out about people, which is why we no longer have overt slavery, and now we have free-range slavery. Thanks for the call, Jack. We appreciate you.
If tortured cows tasted better, that's where my money would go.
That is where everybody's money would go, as long as they were carnivores.
Not me.
Well, okay. But you're not a carnivore, really. 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live is on the way.
Did you or someone you love work, live, or serve at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1988? If you or someone you know lived, served, or worked at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1988 and has cancer, Parkinson's disease, or another serious health issue, they are entitled to compensation. To see if they are eligible, they need to call Liberty Legal. Contaminants in the drinking water have led to these serious diseases, and legislation is now available for veterans and family members who may qualify for financial help from the government. There may be a time deadline, so don't wait. Call 888-918-1037. Anyone that has lived, worked, or served at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1988 and has had cancer, Parkinson's disease, or another serious health issue, the money is already set aside. 888-918-1037. 888-918-1037.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Kate Fisher. The Indonesian government is promising a full investigation after at least 129 people died in a stampede at a football match. The game between two sides with a bitter rivalry ended in disaster as fans began rioting and police responded with tear gas. Our Asia correspondent Richard Kimber reports.
Indonesia's President Joko Widodo is calling for a full inquiry into what happened and is ordering that all games in the country's top league be postponed. Trouble began after the final whistle in a game between long-standing rivals Arema FC and Persebaya Surabaya. As the players began leaving the field, fans started rioting and then invading the pitch, clashing with scores of police. Videos on social media show police wielding riot shields and batons, responding with force and firing numerous rounds of tear gas. Chaotic stampedes and crashes then ensued as more than 40,000 fans in attendance tried to escape through the stadium exits. Government officials say the stadium was overcrowded, with 4,000 more people in attendance than the official capacity, and that advice to hold the match in the afternoon rather than the evening had been ignored.
Ukraine has made its most significant battlefield gain in weeks, claiming full control of the strategic city of Liman, a key logistics hub in the east of the country. Sergio Olmos reports from the Ukrainian capital, Kyiv.
Liman sits at a railway juncture that Russia was using to supply its troops along that eastern front. But politically, the reason it's very important is because it's one of the regions that Vladimir Putin said was now part of Russia, quote, forever. And within 24 hours, Ukrainian troops are throwing down the Russian flags from administrative buildings, putting up the Ukrainian flags, winning back a city that they had lost.
Hurricane Ian continues to weaken, but its trail of destruction is expected to take months to clear up. US President Joe Biden is due to visit Florida on Wednesday, the state that was hit the hardest, from where FSN's Chris Jones reports.
It's been absolutely devastating for millions of residents along the southwest Floridian coast. And I was in Fort Myers, listed as the real ground zero of Hurricane Ian, and they reported 5 to 6 foot waves coming over the shore and into their houses.
When I came around the corner, I didn't realize how bad. I mean, we have a sailboat in our front yard.
I was expecting this hurricane to land 120 miles north of here. And I had no idea it was going to take a sharp right turn and come into Fort Myers. So I had no option to get out of town.
As the waters have calmed and subsided, the damage is all too clear to see. Some can't really see a way forward. They don't know how long it's going to take to clear up the mess. They also don't know how much it's going to cost.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
back.
And it is Free Talk Live. We're back. The telephone number is 603-283-6160. In the studio, it's myself, the captain.
It's Nikki.
And Rich. Rich.
You can join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians.
From lobster murderers.
And fish with feelings. June 15th through the 18th for the 7th annual Fork Fest at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. Fork Fest is a fork of the Porcupine Freedom Festival, which sold out in 2022. For 2023, we're going back to where it all started, the weekend before Pork Fest. So now Fork Fest is the pre-funk, right? They get your party on before the party starts party. Fork Fest is decentralized, which means there's no ticket cost and no one is in charge. All you need to do is reserve your camping site, your RV site, or your motel room with Rogers Campground for June 15th through the 18th. You can find out more at the unofficial website, forkfest.party. You can also connect with other attendees on the Forkfest Telegram and Matrix chat rooms, as well as the Forkfest forum. You can find links to those at forkfest.party. We hope to see you there again, forkfest.party. All right. Fish with feelings, huh? Yeah.
Well, that's why it's okay to eat them. Because they don't have any feelings.
Oh. Ginger fish.
Goldfish.
Let's talk about boobs.
Sure.
Please.
Thought we were never going to get there.
Yeah. It takes us a while to get through all of these stories. This is from onlysky.media. I don't know. You brought this one in, right?
I don't know which one you're talking about, maybe.
It's the Christian influencer gets holy water breast implants.
Yes.
This is satire, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a big where it says satire right above the headline.
It's still funny.
It is funny. Christian influencer Emma Antebellum proudly announced on TikTok that she recently got breast implants which are filled with holy water.
God bless.
How do you get baptized in that? You don't, I guess.
Just bounce right off.
Pop them.
Breast implants consist of a silicone shell that holds either a silicone gel or saline water. Both are considered safe, even though the shell may rupture over time. However, there are growing voices on the possible deleterious health effects that those may pose to women. Emma told her fans she was inspired to get the breast implants while reading 1 Corinthians 6:19 through 20. Do you not know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you have received from God? You are not your own. You were bought at a price. Therefore, honor God with your bodies.
I'm pretty sure I quoted that in my religious exemption application for work. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
My body is a temple.
Honoring Jesus with my body means, to me, going from a B cup to a D cup, she said. And you know what? Just as Jesus bought my soul, my superfans purchased these implants. I am so blessed.
Ugh, love her.
That's the entire article.
That's all you need, really.
All you need is boobs. Bum-ba-da-da-dum.
I thought you were going with the stripper OnlyFans article as well.
That's what I was expecting.
You know, moving right along.
Segue
into the next topic or story. This from the nypost.com or nypost.com.
So not satire.
Not satire. This is from the lifestyle section.
Lifestyle. No, it's certainly a lifestyle.
Retired officer 51 finds new career as a stripper cop, handcuffs included.
So I would like just to read Bonnie's comment on the subject. Wow, she looks bad for 51.
I don't.
And she really, I disagree with that. I think she looks good for 51, but I think Bonnie has very high expectations for her older women.
Yeah, I don't know what Bonnie expects 51 to look like, but
we're going to find out what Bonnie looks like at 51.
Right.
And we're going
if we're alive when that happens.
Oh, what, like 30-ish years, something like that?
Yeah.
45 years, I don't know.
Yeah. You're younger than her, though, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I just realized I did that math totally wrong. I added 5. So 25 years.
Okay. Retired officer,
for it.
51. It doesn't say, like those of you who are listening to us without seeing the attached photos, this person appears female, this retired officer.
You almost have to be to make money on OnlyFans.
You never know nowadays.
Yeah, that's true. From serve and protect to strip and erect.
Nice.
Ooh.
A career cop who spent more than 30 years on the force has found a new passion performing as a policewoman stripper. Michelle Walton, 51, who hails from the Isle of Wight, W-I-G-H-T, in England, retired from her local police department in 2020 before creating her saucy stripping routine when she joined a small burlesque dance class.
This is what all cops should do. They should quit.
Actually, this should be like mandatory training for all cops. Right? Burlesque show. Yeah. She says, I created a stripping comp routine as I already have the truncheon and the handcuffs, the raunchy retiree told Southwest News Service on Friday.
But it's England, so no guns.
Right, yeah.
Truncheon. Smash people. Humanely, of course.
Halt, or I'll yell, halt again. My routine, she says, involves walking up to the stage, waving 2 blue lights around, and then stepping up on a chair, pretending to direct traffic, then taking my first layer of clothing off, she dished. I then step into the audience and dish out fixed penalty tickets with the offense of being too sexy.
Can I suggest LED nipple tassels with those blue lights?
Blue and red alternating. I don't like this.
I don't
like. First of all, I don't want to get any attention from police whatsoever. Really, I don't want to get pulled over. I don't want to get a citation. I don't want them to bust out their truncheon, or their firearm, or
you don't want a
whatever.
lap dance.
I don't want a lap dance from police. Right? Like this is not. I find no sex appeal in this whatsoever.
You could live out your activist fantasies of getting arrested and getting it on with the officer, though.
I don't have that fantasy.
Oh, okay.
A lot of women I know have this like man in uniform fetish type of thing. And one day I was at my old job and the girls were on TikTok and they're like, "Oh my God, Nikki, look at how hot this guy is." And it's some cop and he's in uniform with his cruiser in the background. So like tick tick, like tax dollars are paying for this guy to make this TikTok. And he's like playing this weird song, like walking seductively up to the camera. And they're like, "Oh my God, he's so hot." And I'm like, no, this is like not doing it for me. I'm actually repulsed and now I'm going to go vomit in the bathroom.
Thank you for
it's
being
not,
reasonable.
Yeah, it's not.
Going back to my gun-tone chef.
This police lady, Walton, first joined the police force back in 1989 when she was just 18 years of age. So all she is known as being a tyrant. And so now that she's retired, she must pretend that she's a tyrant in some sort of, weird fetishized.
Still a new voluntary career. You can subscribe or not subscribe to her OnlyFans page.
Yeah. The British beauty spent more than a decade as a cop before taking a year of unpaid leave, traveling to Australia for a working holiday in 1999. When I got to Australia, I needed a job, so I became a skimpy barmaid. What's a skimpy barmaid? Is that like Hooters or something?
Probably just a barmaid wearing skimpy clothes.
Or is it a barmaid that pours skimpy drinks? Because
no,
I would not want that, and can't imagine she'd have been successful.
Wench, bring me another.
603-283-6160. Have you ever had a skimpy barmaid? Give us a call. Let us know. This is Free Talk Live, the Sunday night edition. Final segment is coming up.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people
who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
And we're back. We are back. It's the final segment of tonight's Sunday night edition of Free Talk Live. Again, if you've missed any of tonight's 3-hour program, you can find it a little bit later tonight over at freetalklive.com. You can also see a replay on our video channel over at Odyssey, our Free Talk Live channel there. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass.
It's Nikki.
And Rich.
I want to take a minute and say thank you to, I believe it is Dan. No, it isn't.
Oh.
What day is it?
It should be.
I'm sure
Sunday?
there's Dan.
What's the date today?
Sunday.
Thanks, Dan.
Sunday, but
October 2nd.
Yeah, but it's not the 9th.
Year of our Lord
so
2022.
I'm on the wrong day somehow. And
Captains in the future.
Yeah. So I believe it was Dan Harjes, or Harjes, Harjes.
The J or G? GIF or
J,
GIF? Okay.
J, yeah. who is I believe, a silver level amplifier. That means he gives $5 a month to our AMPS program over at Advertise, Market, Promote, and Support. That's what AMP stands for. So amps.freetalklive.com. amps.freetalklive.com. It is a Patreon type of situation, so there are little perks, little gifts, little things that you get for your contributions. What does the money go towards? Well, advertise, market, promote, and support, which means getting us on more radio stations. We're on somewhere near a couple hundred radio stations now. We could be on 250, 300, 350, not out of the question. It all depends on you. If you enjoy the hosts, the co-hosts, the content, the fact that we come at things from a perspective of peace, liberty, freedom, and prosperity, and you want more of that in the world, please consider helping us. I think it's the best use of your Liberty Dollar to become an amplifier over at amps.freetalklive.com. Thank you again, Dan. We appreciate you.
You got to get one of those set up for Beard Talk Live so you can finally afford that guest beard.
I love how when you start a thing and everybody wants to tell you how to do it and what to do and what you don't have,
Wow.
but nobody actually puts anything together for it.
I sent you the link for the guest beard.
Ooh.
I contributed.
Wow. A whole link.
Yeah.
You're so generous.
You said we need a guest beard, and I said, here's the product right here, Captain.
Yes. But you didn't buy it.
Yeah. Because you two said that you guys were going to go in on it together, and I went, my job here is done, and I washed my hands of the situation.
Yeah. What an outstanding contribution. Thank you, Richie Rich.
Yeah.
You're
Looks
a
like-
gentleman and a scholar.
But
Looks
if
like
but if Beer Talk Live had a BAMPS program or something.
BAMPS.
Whatever.
What's the
Beard.
For the beard.
Advertise,
market, and promote, support beard.
And beard, because that's what we're buying. Yeah, I'm with you. But it looks like if I want to be on Beard Talk Live, I have to buy my own beard.
But then you get to keep it, and it doesn't become the community guest
I
beard.
don't know if I want the community guest beard.
but
I
you just
kind of
have
just
your
want
own.
my own.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Yep. I accept.
Now it's a BYOB edition of Beard Talk.
Bring your own beard.
Bring your own beard.
Dozens of Chicago inmates scored PPP loans to make bond. No segue.
Okay.
Just right into it. Just launch. Just, bam. Yep.
Register Beer Talk Live as a corporation. Get a PPP loan for the community beard. How you like them apples?
It's a lot of beards.
I mean, again, if you want to do that and gain that advantage, feel free to do so. At least 25 people in Joliet, Illinois, which is where the Blues Brothers were imprisoned for.
Right next to
some time.
Romeo, Michigan.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, not right next to.
Could be, though.
Who were facing. At least 25 people in Joliet, Illinois, who were facing drug or weapons charges obtained PPP loans for fake businesses and then used the money to make bond and get out of jail.
Brilliant.
Fox 32
Brilliant,
Chicago
I
reports.
say.
Not all heroes wear capes.
Wonderful.
So far, 15 people have been arrested and charged with offenses ranging from wire fraud to theft during an investigation dubbed Operation Triple P. Because apparently law enforcement have a bunch of artistic geniuses when it comes to naming their operations.
They should just move to California or New York where they just get released without bail.
Right. According to officials, inmates at the Will County Jail had been applying for and receiving Paycheck Protection Program loans, that's PPP loans for those of you not paying attention or playing the home game, using fraudulent information. It's unclear if any of the inmates claimed to own a motorcycle dealer. I don't know why that's important. Some of the targets bonded out of their felony cases days after receiving their fraudulent loans, said Joliet Police Chief William Evans during a Wednesday press conference. The scheme was uncovered in November 2021 when Joliet detectives began comparing names on the PPP loans to the names of inmates facing felonies. Which should
How are they even inspired to make that comparison?
Right. Which should have disqualified them from the program. The majority of them also use their home address. So we did several periodic spot checks on the residences, said Detective James Kilgore. It's a hell of a police name. Officer Kilgore.
He's a hunter, a fisher, and a lobster murderer.
Not to mention a road pirate. Maria Beach and Adrian Clark were locked up during the pandemic for unrelated gun offenses. Police say from their cell phone they applied for and received PPP loans. Beach claimed to run a barbershop from a home in Rockdale, while Clark claimed to run a barbershop from an apartment in a Joliet house.
Wait a minute. They had their cell phone in jail and was applying for loans on the cell phone in jail?
Mm-hmm.
Did you say a Juliet house?
Joliet.
Oh, I was like, so there is a Juliet, Michigan.
No, it's in Illinois.
Joliet, Illinois.
Joliet in Illinois, not Juliet in Michigan.
Whatever. Juliet, Michigan. Or no, Juliet, Illinois, and
Joliet.
Romeo, Michigan.
Joliet. Not Juliet. Joliet. J-O.
Stop ruining this for me.
I think you're the one who ruined it for everybody else.
She's really overthinking the joke.
You've really stretched too far. You've stretched too far. You've gone too far. Joliet PD worked with U.S. Marshals and the Will County State Attorney's Office, as well as Department of Labor and Chicago's Office of Homeland Security Investigations. These Triple P loans that they're obtaining fraudulently, they're taking that money out of the businesses in our local area that actually need them. No, they're not.
Okay, well, it was stolen from everybody else in the first place, so who cares?
It wasn't even stolen. It was printed.
Out of thin air.
Oh, printed, whatever.
Blah, 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 blah. Acting special agent in charge. He's not really a special agent in charge.
Acting.
He's just acting special agent in charge of Chicago DHS Investigation Office, adding that this type of PPP loan fraud has happened across the country.
Yeah, it was a big deal. You know, a lot of people did it. Is it really? Can you still get one of those?
I think so.
Thanks. I thought that was over.
I did too.
No, I think you can still apply. Like the period for which you may have acquired this money is in the past, but if you didn't apply for the money then, you can still apply now.
Okay.
I believe. I'm not sure. I don't run this program, so why are you asking me?
I was just curious. I thought the program was short-term and ran its course. However, it's a government program, so it could go on ad infinitum.
Nothing more permanent than a temporary government program.
That's why I asked.
As evidenced by the Unpatriotic Act. Remember that? That was supposed to be temporary?
Yeah. Again, we talked about this before. So were passports.
That's right.
Passports,
Really? I didn't
passports
know
was
this.
a temporary government program during the war times.
And now they're,
mandatory to go anywhere.
Yeah, by all governments everywhere, so to speak. Yeah, I like, on one hand,
is it really a crime to get government money?
Is it like, yeah, because you're stealing from people who've either stolen or otherwise defrauded people.
Right.
So how can that really be a crime? I guess it is. I guess technically. Well, is it a violation of the NAP?
No.
Have they aggressed on anybody?
Only other aggressors.
Is there a victim? Yes, the victim is the taxpayer.
Of which they could probably claim to be a part of that base. I just applied to get some of my funds back.
That's true.
If they're going to steal my money and inflate the currency, I will do whatever is necessary to bring myself back to even.
I don't have a problem with it.
Well, there you go.
25 people.
Innocent.
At least 25 people just in Joliet. So imagine if this was happening across the country. How many other people?
I think the special case here was that they did it from jail from a cell phone. Right? Like there was plenty of news about PPP fraud across the country.
Yeah. Well, they weren't really doing any checks or anything. And they weren't doing any checks for the unemployment, too. Yeah. I know so many people who were collecting unemployment twice.
And did those detectives share a desk? Hey, let me see your list of names. Because I got my own list of names. They kind of match over here.
We are out of time. Thanks to all of our listeners for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this edition of Free Talk Live. Sunday nights. Thank you to Nikki. Thank you to Richie Rich. Thank you to all of our callers. Peace.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
How many lawyers does it take to change a light bulb? None. They'd rather keep their clients in the dark. There are too many lawyer jokes to count. However, there are some lawyers with